The apocalypse has begun. This guy was addicted to survival games. He awakened a dimensional portal ability. Now, in the middle of chaos, everyone is getting infected, but he can travel between worlds. He has a secret base, an infinite supply stockpile, and girls living in his house. But before that, the president will be making a national announcement in a few minutes. The power will be restored shortly. Finally, the address begins. The president has a request to make. He wants everyone to be watching, asking viewers to call over anyone not in front of a television. The viewership climbs, and he thanks the public for their effort. At that very moment, martial law was declared. The military is taking control of everything, and the roads are closed. Visibly distressed, the president said there's a reason for this. The opposition certainly won't like what's happening. After taking the first drag from his cigarette, the president reveals the reason. It's time to face this apocalypse. Everyone must know by now that a virtual games scenario has become reality, and a large asteroid has come to Earth. Efforts from other nations were unable to destroy this meteor. Fatally, it crashed into the Earth, causing catastrophic damage. The people in Japan have already turned into zombies, and spores are being emitted from the meteor. They will reach Korea in the next few hours. There's no way for citizens to avoid the worst. However, some people have awakened and can prevent it. Shelters have been built, and they will be sealed for 1 year. People must go to them. There's also a strategy guide for defeating the monsters. Pamphlets will be dropped from airplanes. Soon, all electrical power will be shut down. He said it was an honor to serve this great nation. All of this was only possible because of an anonymous informant. Our protagonist wished the apocalypse had never happened. All he has to do now is survive, because he's already a veteran of this apocalypse. It all started a few months ago. This could be the player's third consecutive defeat. His companion warned that if this happens, he's truly useless. The guy with cat ears told them not to focus so much on brute force. This was confirmed by the weirdo with blonde hair. They are nothing without those absurd moves. The other two are ready to start the battle. It's a survival game, and the guy with rabbit ears and his friend started the fight. Despite his weird appearance, the big-eared guy is strong. This is a virtual reality game. It also has fantasy monsters, and its difficulty is truly exceptional. In just a few hours, the game became the current bestseller. The extras time was up, and the guy with cat ears defeated the most dangerous creature in that area. But this game was so difficult that it failed soon after. After a year, there were only 4 players left in what seemed to be a crappy game, and even they were getting tired of what could be done. It wouldn't be strange if the servers went offline without any explanation. The guy with rabbit ears wished for a little more adventure. His friend suggested playing another game, but he didn't seem very interested. It was then that the blonde guy called his companions over to see something. A newbie just sent a message in the general chat. After so long with nothing new, they were a little excited, so they helped this newbie with all the information they could. But soon he realized the game was too hard. It would be better to give up now. It's a shame this always happens. To make matters worse, the game kept getting updates, but the difficulty remained the same. The guy with cat ears said he was leaving because he was tired of playing. He wished his friends a good night. Worried, the blonde kid asked if he would be back the next day. A bit uncertain, he said probably, but the others quickly noticed a hint of boredom in his words. They ended up saying their goodbyes too, as it was time to leave. Only the blonde guy remained in that place, completely alone. He started recording his experience, waiting for his friends to return. Several months later, the game's difficulty was significantly reduced, along with the addition of mutant creatures. Because of this, our protagonist's friends never returned. They had lost interest, leaving him completely alone in that universe. It didn't take long for the inevitable to happen. The game was going to be shut down for good. Watching a large creature, our protagonist wished he could have defeated it with his friends. With no purpose left, he abandoned that recording. He also deleted the account he used to stream these videos. It was time for Kang to start a real life in the real world. He runs a shop where he sells meals. Unexpectedly, his business is very prosperous. He inherited the business from his parents, who had passed away. Just as he was about to deliver a meal, he was approached by someone. This girl's name is Kyung, and she decided to visit him. Besides being a hairdresser, she's an infrequent customer at his shop. Our boy never managed to talk to her properly. Kyung went there to show our boy something. A viral news story about status windows appearing for everyone. Unfortunately, nothing appeared for her, and our protagonist believes it's all just nonsense. But the truth is, when he got home, he tried to find his own window, and to his surprise, something impossible happened. It actually appeared right before his eyes. Our protagonist remembered the game he used to play. He has a trait, opening a personal portal. It was time to test his new abilities, and indeed, a portal appeared before him, just like the labyrinth from the other game. This left our guy even more incredulous. He needs to check the internet to see if there's more information about this. That's when he learned about the asteroid, which was already being monitored by humanity. Things are getting desperate, and this is a chaotic coincidence. But looking at the portal he had summoned, he understood that all of this was real. It's time to look for more proof, because the apocalypse is going to happen. Kang still needs to overcome his fear of going through the portal. Entering that place without a plan could be very risky. First, he did a test using a spoon. He managed to scoop up some sand with it, which calmed him down. Now, with his gear prepared, it's time to go in. On the other side, he saw a great plain full of plants. The weather is pleasant, and his cell phone has no signal. The first thing he does is mark a tree to know his location. After a few minutes of walking, he realized the forest is very large. He hopes nothing happens, but he ended up getting startled by something, a valley deer. Seeing the creature's description, he understood he wasn't on Earth. The animal left shortly after. It didn't seem aggressive. If it were monkeys or boars, Kang is sure he would have had problems. That's why he brought a knife. Knowing the world of that game, he knows it's dangerous. He can't be sure of anything. Walking a bit further, he found a sun apple. With the fruit in his hands, he ate it, recovering his stamina. The effect is identical to the item from the game. All of this just confirms what he was already thinking. Nearby, he saw goblin droppings. Now he is certain the apocalypse is coming. Back in the real world, it was time to begin his preparations. Our boy thought about watching all the recordings he had made. He still has 32 days until the asteroid arrives. The game is really difficult, with weird mechanics. One of them is the metal death disease, which melts everything made of steel. This sends humanity back to the Stone Age and makes some regions very dangerous for up to a year. With his personal portal, none of this is actually dangerous for him. Our boy used his emergency savings to buy equipment. He soon realized that the others, who will be forced to live through this, are very careless. Kang made sure to buy a hunting bow, and on his way home, he noticed something unusual. If none of this happens, he'll be broke for the next 3 years. His shop is already closed. This makes our protagonist a little worried. It didn't take long for his most frequent customer to ask what happened. She learned from our boy that it's just a renovation, so he must have made a lot of money. Since he didn't want to talk to her, Kang said he was busy. The blonde girl was visibly upset as she wanted to spend more time with him. Unfortunately, the protagonist is a fool and can't see the signs. Even though he had a chance to talk to her, he chose to stay quiet. Back in his room, he opened the gate once more. He always created detailed strategies to overcome challenges, unlike his friends, who had a lot of physical strength. In this game, stats aren't guaranteed by leveling up. They're gained through hunting and exploration. Kang needs to learn how to use a real bow. Concentrating, he started to remember his experiences in the game. He hit the target with his first arrow. This left him quite surprised. He can do this about 5 times with precision, which isn't bad. It's time for the next step. To find out if he can hunt monsters and if he can build a hideout to store his items. But he won't try anything stupid, as he needs to take the opportunity to gather more fruit. Kang returned to a spot he had marked. He found the goblin droppings again. These creatures live in groups, so finding a small amount is unusual. Whoever left this must be wandering alone, without the protection of its group. Kang needs to find this monster for a real practical test. It was getting dark. Kang realized he was approaching the valley. Finally, he found his target. The goblin looked identical to the in-game model. They used darts and spears to attack. They're low-level creatures. Kang watched as his target drank some water. Using the bow from this distance would be easy. The creature was old and didn't seem to be carrying any weapons. Our protagonist needed to stay calm. He fired the shot, hitting the creature's arm. Before he could attack again, he was hit by a rock. This monster wouldn't go down without a fight. The two finally faced off, exchanging deadly blows. Kang got injured in the process, but he was much stronger than the small creature. He easily overpowered it, landing a fatal blow with his blade. He received 2 points for this action. The creature also dropped some items, vegetable oil and a plant powder, which could be combined to make medicine. Kang also needed to hide the body so he wouldn't be hunted. But then, the boy noticed some fish in the river. They were red trout, which was a warning sign. It meant another creature might inhabit this place, like the great owl bear, which is extremely dangerous. Now only 31 days remain. The stress triggered a flashback to one of our boy's streams. He was presenting the monsters that live in the forest. Kang had worked hard to gather all this material. He even got some donations. Last time he talked about goblins and how everyone should avoid skeletons at all costs. But the most dangerous things in the forest are werewolves and owlbears. The bear establishes its territory in a balanced ecosystem, but there is a way to defeat this creature. Back in the present, our boy remembered all of this. The imminent danger triggered a flash of his memories, but this was no time to stand still or tremble in fear. An owlbear destroys everything when it's hungry. If it was standing still, it meant it wasn't starving. Only one thing was irritating it right now: the intruder near its red trout. There was only one way to escape now. Even though he knew the strategy, Kang was using his real real body. Staring at the creature, he tried to intimidate it. Kang knew this creature's attack pattern. Its weakness was sunlight. He needed to be very precise, because there was a way to create light in this situation. Kang climbed up the creature's arm to shine his flashlight directly into its eyes. The owlbear didn't like that one bit. The next day, the alarm clock went off as usual. Kang realized he had slept soundly. He couldn't believe he had encountered that bear, and hoped to never see another one in his life. It had been a long time since his last meal. Weakened by hunger, Kang fell to the floor as he tried to get out of bed. Looking at his backpack, he saw some apples. Without a second thought, he ate one, automatically recovering his stamina. Now, he could think about filling his stomach properly, and unexpectedly, he ran into Kyung once again. They were at the same restaurant, and the girl sat down with him to eat. She wanted to know if he had tried to open the status window. The girl was radiant, and our protagonist regretted not talking to her last time. She said again that this situation was real, that strange things were happening. Even so, Kang chose to hide the truth. His ability wasn't combat-oriented, and he was a player focused on his own survival. His safety wasn't guaranteed yet. Revealing his trump card now could be catastrophic in the future. The problem was that the girl kept asking this question. That's when she revealed there was something she hadn't told him. And still, Kang told her she didn't need to rush anything. They still had time, and she could talk when she felt comfortable. Kang returned to his house to receive some packages. He put everything on the terrace, but the most important items were on the second floor. It was time to sort out what would be used in that day's operation. Kang needed to find a place to set up his hideout. Once again, he returned to the forest. The day before, he had found a suspicious spot, and he decided to go back to investigate it further. He needed to find out what monsters were hiding there. Using binoculars, he saw some tracks. They were monster dogs, which weren't very dangerous. He first checked the wind direction. Since these creatures are nocturnal, they should be resting. First, Kang gathered some firewood. He placed what he had gathered at the cave's entrance. Then he poured gasoline on it. This should be enough. However, before he could light his fire, some creatures came out, and they quickly spotted the strange human. Kang grabbed his axe to fight. Without much difficulty, he defeated 2 creatures. They were still groggy from sleep, and Kang leveled up, gaining 4 points. His priority now was to light the fire. Low-level monsters have one thing in common. They are vulnerable to sudden phenomena. As soon as they smelled the smoke, the creatures panicked. This left them very confused. They ran out of the cave in desperation, giving Kang the opportunity to finish them off easily. He just needed to do this 3 more times. The remaining creatures tried to attack, but they were no match for his axe. Kang also used a spray for this, blinding one of the monsters, which soon died. Only one was left alive, completely terrified. Kang needed to finish it off to secure the cave. The task was easy, but a bit tiring. Looking at his status window, he confirmed he was exhausted. Gaining levels unlocks interesting features in this game, like the virtual shop, not to mention the refuge our protagonist now possessed. It was time to prepare this space, starting with cleaning. There was a lot of trash inside that place. Kang kept finding disgusting things. Having to do this after a fight was truly distressing. At least he could use his portal, which made the cleanup even easier. Even so, the work was hard and tiring. Kang discovered he could place the portal in very precise locations. He used his bathroom's plumbing to bring water to the other world. Finally, the cave became habitable. He still needed to remove some stains and improve the floor. Mixing cement would take a few days. At least he had some minerals that could be used for lighting. These were fundamental for beginner players. It was time to start mining as well, to make his life easier. Kang woke up even more tired the next day, as he hadn't stopped working. His arm was covered in wound marks. At least he still had some apples, and those items that could be turned into an ointment. Just mix the 2 in equal parts and stir well. This ointment could heal minor wounds, which was very useful. Applying it to his skin, Kang confirmed that it really healed, but he could perfect it. To get even stronger, he had to keep doing what he was doing before the catastrophe arrived. It would be good to have a more useful weapon. That's when a brilliant idea crossed his mind. A ship. It was a bit audacious, and not the main focus of the game, but it was time to gather more information. So he needed to check if this was a likely event. On the terrace, our boy was organizing supplies. His work was proceeding normally. Once again, he was interrupted by his neighbor. She wanted to know what he was so busy working on. The two had been seeing each other a lot lately. Kang said he was busy with renovations at his shop, and the girl remembered that he used to get a haircut once every 3 months. It was time to cut it again. Something our protagonist decided to do, as it would make exploring the other world easier. His suggestion to the hairdresser was to shave it all off, because he wanted to symbolize a new beginning in his life. Wanting to alter his request a bit, she promised she would make him look good. She also noticed he looked broader, like he had been working out. She knew this was related to the awakening in the game. People who had played that game at least once in their lives, those were the awakened. Kang wanted to know where she got so much information. Before she could answer, a tattooed guy arrived, an antagonist to our protagonist. He said someone was already monopolizing information, deleting the videos they had about the game. The tattooed guy wanted to find out who this player was and asked the hairdresser for help, but that seemed illegal, and the tattooed guy said they had no choice. Sharing information information is for the good of everyone. Kang quickly realized they were talking about him. He continued to pay attention to their conversation. It was true that he deleted the videos, but it wasn't about monopolizing. That tattooed guy was really getting on our protagonist's nerves. Who's sure everyone would be better off if the information was leaked? That's why they can't wait too long. Kang immediately called out to the tattooed guy and said they could talk later. The tattooed guy didn't like his tone of voice, but he realized our protagonist was much more firm. Kang said he prefers to be heard while he's being polite. That was enough to scare the guy, who then decided to leave the shop. The hairdresser is relieved that a bigger problem was avoided. Kang suggested they exchange phone numbers just in case something happened. Back in his room, Kang paused the construction of his camp. He found out online that everyone is upset about the videos disappearing. There were so many hateful comments that our boy decided to turn off the computer. Slowly, he realized everything was becoming clearer. It was time to open the portal once again. For the next 2 days, he relieved his stress with hard work, mining and producing a lot of cement. At night, he relaxed by watching the moonlight, coming to a conclusion. He's not a hero, and he doesn't need a sense of duty. His only obligation is to survive. It was then that our boy heard a frightening noise. It was the skeletons, very dangerous creatures. The creatures' eyes began to glow, causing a huge explosion in the middle of the forest. Due to the impact, Kang was thrown far away. Our boy got up, still very scared. Not knowing what had happened, he then saw the rest of the skeleton. Now he doesn't know how he managed to survive. The creature was about to explode when he sensed the danger. He's only alive because he managed to get away. The proof is the bone fragments embedded in his flesh. Kang opened his status window once again. His stats were greatly reduced, but he had no fractures or torn muscles. And because he survived, it seems the system registered that he had defeated the creature. His head is a mess. It's time to return to the gate. Back at his house, he started tending to his wounds, removing each bone fragment and using ointment to close the cuts. He was so tired that he ended up falling asleep right there. He woke up the next day still very weak. Opening his status window, he confirmed he was still weakened. He just doesn't know where that skeleton came from. The forest is too big for something like that. Kang thought he should increase his perception to avoid future problems. The first way to do this in the game is through points earned from practical experience. The second way is through items. But the problem is that this game is very difficult. You need to defeat very strong creatures to get them. He can also absorb monster abilities if the conditions are met. It's time to get back to the recordings. To understand the game's context, Kang might be able to get an item before the apocalypse begins. But for that, he needs to find a powerful creature. Kang came across 3 important phenomena, one of them being the Russian ship. The body of a large creature was found in the forest, but the government quickly deleted the information. This happens on June 26th. Kang needs to prepare for it. His hairdresser friend ended up calling again. They met that same day, and she seems worried about our boy. He looks tired and is wearing long sleeves, even in the heat. Kang tries his best to say he's okay, which reassures the girl a little. About that troublesome guy, he usually causes problems, especially with the elderly. The hairdresser didn't know that. In fact, she has something very important to tell him. She reveals to Kang that she is one of the awakened. Our boy decides to play dumb, denying that anything happened to him. The hairdresser had wanted to tell him for a long time, as she didn't want to lie. Our boy thanked her for her trust, claiming his fatigue was from overworking. He hopes to see her again in the game world, as he started studying it. Kang is already feeling much better. He decided to buy a drone and rent a car. Right after that, he went to sleep to regain his strength. The next day, he started crafting materials to hunt the orc. Breaking those red stones requires great care. If done the wrong way, they catch fire. As for the yellow stones, they release a lot of light. Finally, the basics were done. Our boy mixed several solvents, leaving everything prepared on his table. Back in the real world, he was very happy to have rented a spacious car. Everything he needed fit perfectly in the trunk. It was time to start the journey to find the creature that was about to appear. He arrived at his destination before midnight, preparing for the battle with videos of what was going to happen. His equipment was also ready. It was time to act. Kang searches for the creature. After a few hours, the rain became even heavier. It's very difficult to see. Even so, he needs to find a monster. Its body will be found near a camping area. Just when he started to think nothing would happen, he heard a terrifying roar. That definitely came from a monster. And the creature just found our boy. It's a red ogre. It will certainly leave an item behind. Kang lit a flare. He needs to stick to the plan. First, he needs to get the creature's attention by throwing the flare in its direction. The monster decided to attack that light source. With the creature stationary, Kang opens his portal, but he did it in a way that would lure the enemy. Before crossing to the other side, our boy is going to leave a present behind, A flashbang. The creature will be disoriented for 20 seconds. It's time to start weakening it. Kang put his knife to work. Completely enraged, the monster tried to annihilate its enemy, but it can't keep up with our boy's speed, who continues to put his knife to work. After hitting some vital spots, the ogre fell to the ground. The creature is now very tired. It's time to teach it how to swallow an incendiary grenade. It seems the monster didn't like it much. Its flavor is spicy. Kang thinks he's won, but he's surprised by a punch. His poor body was thrown far away. The enemy, even on fire, is still dangerous. Kang is about to lose consciousness, but he ended up leveling up, receiving 10 points and gaining the survival skill. Realizing the battle was over, he was relieved. It's time to find the item. Kang received a watch that increases his perception by 2 points. Now he's thinking about what to do with the enemy's body. Releasing this information to the public will be complicated. If what he learned from the hairdresser is true, there must be thousands of awakened people. Among them, people like that mediocre guy, who will take advantage of the chaos to do whatever they want. Abandoning that body will cause it to become a dangerous skeleton. Only then did our protagonist realize something dangerous. There's no guarantee that the awakened won't turn into zombies from the spores. This left him very confused about what to do. It was time to open the portal. Thinking of others, he decides to hide the body. Kang needs to dig a large grave. If he weren't injured, this would be much easier. The survival instinct was activated due to exhaustion, filling the boy's body with energy. This skill is very useful. The job was completed quickly. Kang returned to the real world, ready to use this skill before it runs out. The next morning, our boy woke up tired. He should have already built a defensive line around his house. Checking the news, he noticed there was no mention of the creature. It's time to check the packages that have arrived for him. Finally, the weapons were delivered. For now, he can only use the wooden staff, as carrying the rest could be a crime. Some weapons couldn't be delivered due to legal restrictions. Someone started knocking on the door. Kang assumes it's more deliveries, but so far the delivery person hasn't said anything. This made our boy go to the door, only to find his neighbor, the hairdresser, who came to see if he was okay. She also brought a bag, food, so they could have a meal together. The truth is, this is an unexpected event. The girl he always wanted a relationship with is now inside his house. Kang started to get very nervous. The hairdresser told him to eat up and get strong. She also came over to share some information, leaving our boy devastated, as he thought this was the beginning of a romance. Now he's thinking about telling her the truth too. She's going to take out the trash while our boy grabs a few things. The two of them went online to look up some information. First, they need to learn about the metal plague. Kang explained many things to her. It's easier to survive in small groups to avoid attracting zombies. Also, perception is crucial for the survival of newcomers. The hairdresser is writing all of this down. She said that the famous player who deleted the videos is being heavily criticized, but she doesn't understand why he hid the information. Our boy doesn't know either, and wants to know if she has any theories. She said there must be some circumstance to justify something like this. She also confirmed she won't be joining that jerks group, because she met with his group members. She found out some absurd things. They're not good people. Listening to the recording, our protagonist got very upset. He said that chaos will reveal the true nature of many people. That's why the hairdresser wants to team up with our protagonist, a proposal that left him speechless. He wants to reach level 10 soon to use the game's shop. Unfortunately, the player's level dictates the level of creatures that will appear, which could be very dangerous for the hairdresser. Our boy thanked her for the offer, but said he could turn into a zombie. That's when the hairdresser showed him something interesting. She teleported. This is her ability, which could be very useful for defense. Kang got worried and said she shouldn't show something like that so casually, but she did it to gain his trust. And even if they don't become a team, she'd like to survive and cooperate with our boy. Back in the game world, Kang prepares to build a fence. He started with the support posts, running wire through them. He also set up some heat sensors, doing a very thorough job. His line of defense was just completed, and inside the cave are all the items he needs. Thinking about what still needed to be done, our boy sneezed, realizing that the wind easily gets into that place. Soon he'll have to sleep there, so it would be good to have some warmth. Making a door for that place would be a great idea. His to-do list just keeps growing. Once again, Kang bought various materials. On the way, he analyzed places he could explore after the metal plague. Someone found him during this time. It was Hyung, the gym owner. It had been a while since they last met. The man noticed that our protagonist had gotten a bit stronger. His muscle memory is truly exceptional. Getting to the topic at hand, the mountain of muscle realized the world is going to end. He found out about the status window and the zombies. At first, he didn't believe it, but he started to get worried, especially since a friend of his showed him he could fly. Kang acted surprised, revealing that he isn't an awakened, just like the mountain of muscle. And this person who showed him his powers is going to the radio station to say a few things. It's only a matter of time until everyone knows what's happening. And something very worrying happened that day. Someone started shooting in a public place. Our protagonist didn't know about this, because he's been working a lot lately. To make matters worse, news about the incident was deleted. Kang realized the media is being controlled. Everything is getting quite worrying. The area where it had happened was completely blocked off by the police and military. The government must be hiding something. Kang simply left the conversation, saying he had an urgent matter to attend to. When he got home, our boy needed to organize his thoughts. All of this happened after the ogre event. Kang is watching the content he recorded once more. Few people should know about that. Even the creature's body was disposed of in another dimension. And now, this catastrophe has happened. It's possible someone is feeding the government privileged information. And this person could be like our protagonist, someone without an offensive trait. He doesn't know who is doing this, but there must be someone helping the government. With all this inside information, until the apocalypse happens. Being an experienced player, Kang started to narrow down the possibilities. He knows it could be one of his friends, or even the game's creator, but that person is out of the question. Since the game became reality, it must be a superior evil existence. Besides, if the creator were helping the government, our boy wouldn't have defeated that monster. His former allies are the main suspects, and if the boy's theory is correct, he doesn't need to share any information. But all of this is very uncertain. Since he's already acting differently in the real world, his friends might have changed too. The truth is, he misses them all and decided to trust them. Sharing information won't prevent a catastrophe. After a few days, the cave received a steel entrance. Its interior is already filled with supplies. This shelter is now practically set up, but our boy still thinks about improving it with more cabinets. The problem is, he has little space. Its lining is waterproof, which is very good. Now he has something more important to do. Using the drone, he began to explore the forest, which is truly massive. This way, he doesn't risk being ambushed and can also make a map. Buying that was a really wise decision. Starting from the shelter, our boy began a complete exploration, discovering a chain of snowy mountains surrounding the forest. To the south, there seems to be a large ocean, which doesn't have many monsters but is abundant with creatures that can be hunted. It's time to learn even more about this ecosystem to avoid owl bears. Kang found the place where he had buried the goblin. The grave has been disturbed. A bear might have eaten the body. Since there are many tracks there, it's too early to reach any conclusions. Those look like goblin tracks. The distance from this place to the shelter is 1.5 kilometers, a sign that his location isn't as safe as he thought. It's time to bring the drone home. Even on the way back, he managed to observe the vegetation, expanding his map. Our boy now has a better idea of where he is. It's time for him to get to know the area personally. It's the only way to get detailed information. Kang heads to the nearest swamp, hoping to find something interesting. That's when the heat sensors alerted him to something. Due to his heightened perception, every sound seems much louder, until he finally found what he was looking for. Goblins in the middle of the forest. The creatures are arguing over a rabbit they had hunted. It's the perfect opportunity to get all of them. The first arrow was fired. It found the head of the creature's leader, whose body fell lifelessly to the ground. This automatically caused a panic among them. Even so, the arrows kept flying. The creatures are heading toward the shots, reaching our boy's location, only to be met by his axe. Kang is a brutal combatant. 4 creatures are already lifeless. Now he needs to defeat the dart shooters, who can't penetrate his helmet or his armor. Desperate, the monsters try to change their attack strategy, surrounding our boy completely. They try to attack him at the same time, giving Kang an opportunity to use a flashbang, which left the creatures disoriented, making it easier to finish the job. Kang is now level 4 and received 16 points. Our boy is now surprised by his own combat ability. Thanks to his survival instinct, working has become much more fun, because our boy's every action is much more efficient. With that, his body also suffers less damage from the effort. Now all the bodies have been properly buried. It's time to check the items he received. Among them is a fruit that helps with recovery, as well as vegetable oil. If these items are abundant here, there must be a place to gather them. Kang goes to see what the creature's leader was holding, finding a small blue frog in his bag. Our boy has no idea what it can do, but he noticed that it stinks and releases a weird green liquid. This is certainly the paralysis poison that goblins use. Kang can't miss this opportunity. Besides being able to use this poison, he can also use small doses to increase his resistance. He even named the little frog, which is now called Kururu. The system recognized the frog as our boy's property just for naming it. He didn't know about this mechanic in the game. It might be something new. It's possible a final update happened before the game shut down. It's time to return to exploration. Our boy opened a portal. Back at his house, he grabbed a few more items. In a short time, he returned to the forest, ready to get to know it better. He even discovered a water spring that he didn't see through the drone. To his surprise, the water is completely pure. One less problem on his to-do list. Not to mention there are also fruit trees there. Kang collected several fruits at this opportunity, as well as the seeds used to make vegetable oil, making marks on the trees so he wouldn't get lost in that place. With that, his task for the day was finished. The next day he tried to feed the poison frog. Kururu really liked the cricket it received. The creature is on the second floor of his house being very well treated. It needs a slightly warmer warmer environment, the cold can be bad for your health. Kang managed to extract a good amount of venom, which was properly stored. Now he can focus on producing the wound-healing ointment. Kang can't share this with the hairdresser yet. Later, he met up with the Mountain of Muscle, who loves to drink protein shakes. It was a bit late, and the Mountain of Muscle didn't expect to see our protagonist at his gym. Our boy said he had some gifts to give. Intrigued, the Mountain of Muscle wanted to know what that ointment was. Kang explained it was good for wounds, but the Mountain of Muscle was worried, thinking it was just another marketing scheme. Even so, he thanked him for the gift and for the information about the game. Our boy was the one who wanted to give thanks. If he hadn't spoken with the Mountain of Muscle, he wouldn't have found out about the gunshots. He also noticed that the gym was very empty. The owner said everyone was making plans because of the broadcast the Awakened One made on the radio. He shared some interesting things, and the Mountain of Muscle is going to set up his base in that location. Approximately 20 people will be with him. Kang was very worried, as a group of more than 6 people is already dangerous. However, the Mountain of Muscle said that some people can't be abandoned. He even asked what our protagonist was going to do now. Kang said he was still thinking. Since he hadn't awakened, he should think about it soon. A scream interrupted their conversation, and our boy went to see what was happening. He went to the window and saw something absurd. His neighbor, the girl he likes, was on the ground. She seemed very disoriented. Our protagonist immediately went to help her, asking if she knew what had happened. The hairdresser didn't know, but was sure she had been attacked by someone. The Mountain of Muscle was ready to find out who did it, but Kang asked him not to. Our boy asked his friend if she remembered what the thug looked like, but since it was very dark, she didn't see anything. Kang was furious, understanding that people had started to make their move. He recommended that his friend use the teleportation skill if something like this happened again. From now on, she needs to be very cautious until the apocalypse happens. There was a joke on the internet that if 5 people are gathered, one of them is trash. There's always someone trying to be the funny guy, and in the game world, that can be very dangerous. There were players who would infiltrate teams just to lead them to extremely dangerous places. They were always very friendly to beginners, but they wanted to finish them off and steal their items. They also created conflicts between teams just for fun. The game, which was already unpopular, became completely deserted. Our protagonist and his friends used to discipline this type of player, and right now at the beginning, people like that can multiply. The awakened community is coming together. Besides sharing information, they are setting up strategies. Kang saw that some people are selling recordings of his videos and ended up finding a despicable player. He was selling videos from when he was helped by our boy. He must be trying to lure in innocent people. Our boy is surprised by this strategy. It's time to hunt them down once more. It's time to get back to training. Kang hadn't stopped learning for a single moment, but everything he had faced so far were monsters, and his strategies were almost always improvised in the heat of the moment. Kang decided to choose a main weapon that could be used in any situation. It needs to be good for combat against both people and monsters. Considering it can't be made of metal, there were quite a few possibilities. Our boy decided to test the slingshot, but its attack power is too low. All that was left was the wooden staff. The easiest way to finish off zombies is by hitting their skulls. Impact weapons are very efficient for that. Unfortunately, it might not be the best weapon for fighting against people. That's why our boy needs to improve even more. If he encounters someone with psychic powers, it will be difficult to achieve victory. Kang can't just stand by and do nothing. In this game, when another player is defeated, the winner receives 50 points. This ends up attracting negative karma, so those points aren't worth it. Even so, it's necessary to prepare for the worst. Kang wants to avoid contact with this type of player. It's time to protect his home even more. After training, our boy heard noises in the forest that sounded like a wolf. One of them might have approached his shelter. Properly protected, Kang reached the source of the noise. He found a gray wolf as big as a horse. The creature was already lifeless. Since it died in that spot, it might have been attacked nearby. It's time to analyze its wounds. While doing so, our protagonist was almost attacked. Something furry hit him in the back. It was the wolf's cub. Kang still doesn't know what to do in this situation. He can't just ignore the cub's presence, but he needs to bury that body immediately. If it turns into a monster, it will be even more dangerous. The grave was dug quickly, but the cub refused to leave its mother's side. Kang started to remember a dog he had when he was little, so he decided to pick up the cub. It was time to separate it from its mother. Our boy promised to take care of the creature, offering it some food. He hopes that with this, he can count on this new ally. Kang is waiting for the cub's approval. After eating the dried meat, it became quite enthusiastic. Its name is now Dingo, the new member of this small team, recognized by the system. In the real world, our boy is getting to know his dog better, realizing he is very intelligent. It was easy to teach him the most basic tricks. The creature can obey without any trouble. It just doesn't like to stay quiet. It's time for the final test. Kang took a treat from his pocket and threw it into the air for the cub to catch. Using its parkour skills, the dog caught the bone, making its owner very happy. Besides being able to track, The creature is also very agile, which makes our protagonist even happier. Soon, he received a message from the Mountain of Muscle, telling him to search for levitation on the internet. Our boy saw an awakened person becoming news, which was already the most read story in several places. Some people don't believe it because they don't know what's happening. Other awakened people are calling the guy an idiot. The situation is funny. They criticize those who don't share information, and they also criticize those who do. Now it remains to be seen what the government will do, as things are starting to happen. But our protagonist wants to avoid trouble. He has other priorities now. Another monster problem is going to occur, causing a direct response from the government. Kang needs to use his time even better. It's time to go back to exploring, and his canine companion is ready for it. Back in the forest, it's time to identify a trail. Dingo seems to have smelled something. Our boy is trying to teach him to easily recognize the scent of goblins. He also needs to learn to stay calm during battles, following our boy's command. The poor rabbit became a victim of this harsh lesson. Progress is happening smoothly. Judging by its size and claws, that is not a common rabbit. They are creatures much stronger than those on Earth. The pair can now explore with confidence. Kang would like to know his companion's stats. While thinking about this, he was notified about the growth of his own health. This is a very interesting pace, as his health started at 170 points. Kang soon saw that Dingo seemed to have found something bad and was scolded for wandering alone in the forest. The dog had only eaten a pepper, which was why it was agitated. This find is very beneficial for our boy. It's time for another harvest. The pair is already at the end of their hunt. They went to the nearest river. The fish don't provide any experience, but they are extremely tasty. This whole experience is advantageous for the cub. Now, they can finally return to the shelter. The next day, something important happened outside our boy's house. He hired some men to work on renovations. That room was completely transformed. This was a necessary choice for progress. When the chaos begins, everything will be looted. Our boy will be among those people too if he survives, so he should prepare for it. The Mountain of Muscle arrived and said he did the same thing. His gym is already almost empty. Our boy had abandoned him last time, so he went there to see if he was still alive. He was surprised to see the small cub. Bending down, he said the creature was adorable, but that's not all he had to say. He is also very worried. He found out who was responsible for attacking the hairdresser. The tattooed guys group is involved, and their base is in the mountains. Our boy was already expecting this. His muscular friend knows the guy who appeared on television levitating. That's how he found out everything. He was approached by the group of jerks, but he chose to refuse their offer. And even after what happened, the girls with them don't want to leave. Things are much more complicated than they seem. Kang figures they were made an interesting offer. The muscular guys group was reduced to just 4 people, because only 2 of them are awakened. Kang saw how ungrateful and selfish some people could be. The muscular guy is also worried about his little daughter. This made our protagonist wonder if he was doing the right thing. He soon discovered that the Mountain of Muscle was willing to do anything to save his daughter. He doesn't want to hurt anyone, but he will if necessary. To him, our protagonist isn't like that. He's a good person. The two were interrupted by an alarm. Kang's expression darkened, and he asked his friend to watch the dog for a moment. That alarm was triggered by a device. The tattooed guy's friends are doing something hateful. They keep insisting that the hairdresser join them, even though she's already said she doesn't want to. Kim, the leader, and the chain smoker, his subordinate, are losing their patience. Since they have powers, they're feeling very confident. Our protagonist has already arrived at the location. He's ready to attack them immediately. He manages to fire a rock with his slingshot. This quickly got the attention of the other jerks. But maybe this won't change what happened. Kang is eager to crush them all. He hits the first jerk in the head, then turns his attention to the chain smoker, who tried to use his ability to attack. It was no use. Our protagonist is much stronger than them, but doing all this left him out of breath. The hairdresser told him to keep being careful, because the leader of the jerks is still alive, and he nearly destroyed our protagonist's helmet with one blow. Kang wasn't expecting to take that kind of damage. It must mean this guy's trait is an offensive type. It's time for all of them to focus on the battle. The tattooed jerk is happy about this. He wants to teach our boy a lesson. Kang knows the situation is dangerous. He's not sure if he should use his portal. Before he could be hit, he was saved by Dingo, a furious puppy. No one knows where this dog came from. The Mountain of Muscle is also there, ready to call the police. This made the jerks feel cornered. They decided to leave on their own. Our protagonist's friends can now breathe a sigh of relief. The hairdresser is very worried about him, asking if our boy got hurt because his helmet was cracked by that blow. This made our boy remember his old companions, but back in the present, he said he was fine. Knowing that the Mountain of Muscles group was smaller, he asked him to turn to the hairdresser. Our protagonist has things to do now. Saying goodbye, he went on his way without any explanation. It was time to start phase 2, ahead of schedule. Seeing those two together awakened a desire in our boy to take care of them. Unfortunately, he's not strong enough yet and needs to gain levels to get the strength needed to crush crush his enemies. If his plans work out, he'll be 3 levels above everyone else. This will make the monsters in that region very powerful. Our boy worked so hard, he didn't notice time passing. A wood-burning stove is now inside his hideout, making the nights there warmer. The little puppy really liked it too. The improvements he wanted to make to the place are all finished. It's time to spend the first night there. On television, news about the asteroid is being shared. It's getting closer and closer to Earth, and they don't know if it will hit. The lead researcher is worried, announcing that the asteroid has split in 2. He also announced that it won't hit the Earth. The truth is that the smaller piece fell into the ocean, near a ship. That's how the first zombies arrived in Korea. Kang keeps watching the news. The president has been in isolation since the shooting incident. He hasn't left the official residence. The opposition is demanding to know the truth about what happened. They are linking this event to the presence of the awakened. Kang started to think about what was being discussed on the internet. He wanted to rob a bank, but things are getting more complicated. On the forums, people are worried about the arrival of the zombies, which will happen soon. Kang saw someone looking for players, and he immediately recognized the name My Dream, a player who was very friendly to newcomers. He used to play with our boy sometimes. My Dream is looking for game veterans and has built a shelter for protection. Since none of his old friends have shown up, our boy won't be the first to do so. A little more enthusiastic, our boy wants to get back to building. Kang has already managed to spend 2 nights in his shelter. The place is very cozy and very safe too. The real challenge comes the next day. Using electricity from the solar panels isn't as simple as he thought. It requires a great deal of technical knowledge on the subject. It's time to run a test. The line is working perfectly. Surviving in that place is going to be even easier than he imagined. Kang went to the safe he has stored there. Inside is a rare mineral which is quite useless now, but it could be valuable in the future. It's time to see if the supplies are properly stored. That's when our boy heard his puppy barking. He's outside, very agitated. Kang went to him to see what had happened and was startled by what was there. A pack of giant wolves which are very dangerous. They're supposed to live on the mountain, not in the middle of the forest. Judging by the puppy's hatred, they must have been the ones who killed his mother. Kang quickly realized the creature was completely enraged. Defeating all those enemies is out of the question. If he tries to run for a weapon, he'll be attacked from behind. The protagonist realized he needs to focus on the alpha. That's the only strategy that might work, and so he'll be the one to attack his victim first. By gaining the advantage in that first moment, Kang can increase his chance of survival. Our boy has pepper spray, his only weapon in this situation. He might not be able to win the battle, but he might be able to drive the creature away. Even so, it's going to be risky. Kang doesn't know how to put this into practice, until finally, his brain started to work. There's no other option. Our boy threw the knife at the creature. The wolf dodged it with ease. Furious, it was the creature's turn to retaliate. Our boy waits patiently for its approach. Opening his dimensional gate in front of the wolf, it hit it like a wall. Kang closed the gate, using the pepper spray immediately. The wolf was very disoriented by this. This gave our boy the opportunity to stab it with his knife. Now the creature is terrified. Missing one of its eyes, it fled with its pack, leaving our protagonist behind, who is now deeply relieved. He and his canine companion are still alive. Kang promised they would get their revenge on those wolves. Ready to buy more things, our boy went to the pharmacy and the electronics store. That wolf attack was really worrying. Kang was lucky to get out alive. If it had been a werewolf, it would have been different. He was foolish to ignore the monsters living in the neighboring regions. He needs to keep watch with the drone. Kang ran into his muscular friend on the way, but he hadn't even noticed until someone called his name. The muscular guy is with a girl. Kang said he left the house that day to do some shopping. Certainly not weapons, since he went to the electronics store, and that new girl seems to be interested in that too. According to the muscular guy, people are buying more and more weapons. People should consider what will happen to the iron. Kang started to feel uncomfortable with this girl, who kept staring without saying anything. Only then did she realize that our boy was the owner of the noodle shop. He looks very different now. Taking out a card, she introduced herself to him. Her name is Yeon. Kang was impressed to discover she's a doctor. In a short time, he explained the basics of the game to her. She was a little suspicious. It seems like there's no way to win. Still, she wants to know one last thing. If our protagonist is one of the awakened, since he seems to know so much about this universe, the truth is that he was very helpful and could be trustworthy, much more so than the muscular guy. Because of this, she wants to maintain a friendly relationship with our boy. The next day, Kang spent a lot of time trying to craft a spear. It seems to have turned out perfectly. With this weapon, he's ready to seek revenge for what happened to the dog's mother. They also must eliminate any intruder who discovers the location of the hideout. Properly protected, it was time to explore the forest, but our protagonist didn't find their leader, so something else must have happened. And that's exactly what happened. The owlbear took out some of them. Wolves without a leader are easily defeated. They don't act as a pack. The first creature caught our boy's scent and walked right into a trap, getting completely tangled in a net. It was finished off immediately after. The other creatures noticed what happened. Kang started running from them, luring them into a chase. This was all part of our boy's plan. He used pepper spray on the first wolf. When surrounded by the other two, he used his spear to defend himself. The last one nearly attacked him from behind but was stopped by the puppy. Kang managed to eliminate his enemies with ease. Thanks to this, he gained more points and reached level 5. This also enhanced the effects of his gate, which is invisible to others and can now serve as a window. In practice, our boy can observe the other side. The invisibility is also amazing. This opens up new possibilities for our protagonist. He's eager to see what other traits he can develop. Leveling up is crucial for this so he can't fall behind. For now, there's a lot to be done, like burying all those bodies. A few more days passed after that event, and our boy continued to explore the forest. He now knows there are no monsters within a 1-kilometer radius. They've all been hunted, but a little farther away, there are several goblins. It was time to start changing the place. Around the hideout, our boy cut down some trees. He made a 30-meter security circle with barbed wire traps and even dug a moat. He also monitors real-time news through his portal, and there our boy bought more materials for his construction, as well as industrial tools. He's also analyzing the progress of Kim, that bastard. Our protagonist also rented some vehicles to help over the last few days, and in his lab, he's trying to increase his resistance to the cane toad's poison. At this moment, Kang is still very confused. They're saying a veteran player has just been recruited. This could be related to government censorship. It's no coincidence that the president is still in isolation. Kang would like to know how this is happening. The number 1 survivor is an item collector. Siding with the president would benefit him greatly. Kang is sure this news is fake. Even so, things aren't getting any clearer. If the number 1 survivor joined my dream, our boy needs to change his plans. It's time to investigate the forums with another identity. Kang needs to make contact with someone. It didn't take long for him to get in touch with my dream. This way, he can confirm his true identity. They are in a virtual room, talking. The player isn't very comfortable with this idea. He only agreed because our protagonist knew his personal number, though our boy didn't reveal his true identity. My dream assumed he was talking to a veteran player, which is a strong possibility. He decided to ask a few questions. If our protagonist answers them all correctly, he'll talk to him. The first one is the maximum vertical jump height of a werewolf, which is 3 meters. He also asked about the owlbear's weakness. The answer is bright light. Lastly, he asked how zombies evolve. Our boy said they absorb nutrients and evolve into ghouls. He was very impressed with all these answers, and now he's sure he's talking to one of the veterans. Kang told him to call the number 1 survivor, and if it's true, he'll join them too. My dream said he can't do that right now. He also has a feeling that something is about to happen. To our protagonist, this player is just a nutcase. As he started to leave the room, Kang realized he might be getting tracked, and sure enough, some people had just arrived at the location. Guards were placed at the exit so no one could escape. Our protagonist is already considering the possibilities. Those men aren't there to play, they're there to find someone. The guy used a power on the receptionist, forcing her to cooperate as well. It's a psychic power. If our protagonist gets caught, he'll become a puppet. His only option is to open a gate to escape. Kang went straight to one of the restrooms. The mysterious guy continued using his power, asking the bystanders if he's a stranger. They are forced to tell the truth. There's only one place left to investigate. He went to the restroom, ready to find our boy, opening each of the stalls. He even threw water into the air to reveal anyone's hidden presence. He's sure our protagonist is around here. Kang is inside the portal, watching everything happening outside. The mysterious man realized he's not looking for a stealth-type person. It's someone who's mobile, so he sent his men to search the building. They need him alive. My dream used to be a kind person in the game. It's strange to see him turning people into slaves. In any case, our protagonist is grateful for what happened. His mind is much clearer after everything he observed. From now on, he'll judge by his own standards. Using the cane toad's poison, it's time to fight fire with fire. Taking the opportunity to use the restroom, my dream is wondering who that mysterious person could be. Maybe he just wasted his time in that place. As he was washing his hands, he saw our boy reveal his presence. Kang lunged forward with the cane toad's poison, making a superficial wound on the player. In a short time, his body was affected. Kang slammed the poor guy's head against the wall, asking if he enjoyed being poisoned. Our protagonist was much more menacing, channeling a Rio de Janeiro loan shark, and he's already pulled out a knife, cutting the scumbag's gun holster. Finishing this player now before the apocalypse won't cause any negative effects. Our boy wants to know why he's using the number 1 survivor's name to recruit good people. That's not the behavior of someone with good intentions. Kang already managed to grab the man's documents. About to hit his head, he warned that next time, he wouldn't be so patient. In the other world, Kang began to analyze all the material. He now knows the scumbag's real name and age. He seems to be a very rich person, addicted to paid friendships. It seems he gets better traits as he plays. He must have been testing his mind control ability. Time spent playing doesn't mean he'll get stronger, especially considering the game's ultimate goal, to keep surviving. As long as the veterans don't reveal themselves, our boy will continue to prepare. Now he has a firearm, ready to annihilate the awakened. Kang decided to do some target practice. He's improving slowly. The second omen is about to happen. With that in mind, he drove his car there. Goblins had been spotted by people near a national reserve. Kang pulled the car over to the shoulder. He and his dog will now explore this forest, like two hunters. Our boy had to hurry, as the police were already moving to seal off the area. The monsters could be very dangerous since they are being led by a stronger one. Dingo soon picked up the creature's scent. He knows exactly where to go, leading our protagonist to the fun. The two are making their way through the forest, but our boy stumbled upon something dangerous. Several people are dead, and some creatures too. Looking closer, he realized the men were just poisoned. They're still alive. It's just the effect of paralysis on their bodies. The police officers are unarmed. Someone must have taken what they were carrying. Kang moved them all close together, as the poison will wear off in a few minutes. It's time to analyze the creatures' bodies. Their bodies were riddled with bullets, but it doesn't make sense for the weapons to have disappeared. The only hypothesis is that there's a looter goblin among them. This creature cannot be left alive. Kang used the police officer's cell phone to call for help. He sent the location and also advised that the creature's bodies should be buried. This information can no longer be hidden. It's a race against time now. Kang is trusting his canine companion's sense of smell. Nearby, a battle is taking place. The guy with the shield asked his boss if this is right. He's not one of the awakened, and he's having to face the creatures. The awakened one's trait is telekinesis. It takes time to invoke the ability. Finally, the rocks began to fly, but that might not be enough. The other awakened need to get past the police to get there. The ordinary citizen already wants to run, but his friend knows this is just like the game. The goblins are without their poisoned weapons. Even though the bystander is scared, the Professor X-like character believes they will win. If they can defeat all the creatures, they'll have a huge advantage. They just need to stay focused on this battle, something Professor Xavier just lost, as one of the creatures threw a stick at him, injuring his fragile arm. With that, they ended up completely surrounded and are about to be finished off. Luckily, our protagonist exists, and he knows how to make arrows fly. The creature was left completely confused because it didn't see who shot those arrows. Kang is in a safe location. He shot those arrows through his gate, locating the awakened one. He also needs to defeat the creatures. His steps need to get faster and faster. It's time to return to the real world. First, he threw a rock at the monster to get its attention, but there was nothing where the creature looked. Actually, there was a can on the ground, and when it went to inspect it, it lost its life. This is our protagonist's strategy, using his gate as an invisible wall, leaving no trace of his actions. Only the strongest of the creatures remains. It's already seeing its underlings littering the ground, and it ordered the rest of them to find the intruder, something the creatures are doing, filled with dread. They are heading for the graveyard. Their heads were severed, paving the way for our boy. Kang noticed the looter goblin started to flee, but that's another problem. He needs to defeat the larger goblin, which poses a real danger. His only option now is to fight. Kang was thrown far away. The blow hurt him badly. Our boy is already spitting blood. His senses are fading. His life will be extinguished with the next blow. Finally, his survival skill activated. Kang reacted at the last second. With renewed strength, he started running towards the fleeing creature because it is our boy's true target. After taking a few shots, it will no longer move. It's time to return to his gate. Kang waits for the most dangerous enemy to approach, firing a few more shots at it. This time, the creature was weakened and brutally finished off by our boy, who ended up gaining several points from this battle. He gained the ability to sense the terrain within his field of vision, as well as gloves that will increase his dexterity by 2 points. Some lights are approaching through the forest. It's the signal that our protagonist must leave, so they don't discover he exists. The next day, Kang woke up in a lot of pain. Looking at his watch, he realized he had slept for an entire day. He needs to avoid survival situations, as they are too risky. His priority now is to inspect the items he received. Kang was very happy with what he had gathered. Some weapons and a completely indestructible knife. It's a game-specific item, and he's never seen anything like it. This tool is immune to the metal plague and costs 100 points in the game's shop. Looking closely, Kang noticed its surface was a bit uneven. Surely these creatures can't craft something like this. Perhaps a mutation is happening to them, accelerating their culture. But all of this could just be a crazy theory. There are still other items to be explored, like the shadow grapes, which can enhance night vision. That's why these creatures were active at night. Looking at his own status window, our boy noticed he's growing at a satisfactory pace. Opening his gate, he returned to the real world, noticing he had received several messages. His first stop now is his muscular friend's gym. When he got there, he was greeted with enthusiasm. The muscular guy is waiting for him with the hairdresser. Other people have also been added to this team. For now, they're just 2 background characters. There's one last member, but he went out to buy some things. A store that sells camping gear. It opened recently. The incident from the previous day is already on the news. Everyone knows about it. The doctor who autopsied the creature told everyone to prepare for the end. Meanwhile, the president is in a national security meeting. They want to find the creator of that bizarre game and also want to hear from the awakened. As for the protagonist's friends, they want to know what he'll do now since he's already known for having a lot of information about the game. That new guy said the creatures grant points, but he argued the awakened shouldn't focus on leveling, but on hoarding supplies. Our boy realized this guy was talking complete nonsense. Kang tried to correct him humbly, and the background character was a bit rude, asking if our boy had ever played that survival game, claiming that all the information online is bad. The other girl was also thinking about it. She doesn't know who will turn into a zombie from the spores. Not knowing what to say, the background character claimed that those in contact with the awakened would be safe. He said he played this game a lot and made contact with the system, so everyone is safe in his company. The poor background character believed all this nonsense. Seeing through the lie, the hairdresser wants to know if this guy ever even passed the tutorial, all while he promises to protect everyone. Kang knows there's no evidence whatsoever about the immunity of the awakened, and he was called there because his muscular friend probably doesn't trust this guy either. Kang is ready to leave, as he doesn't want to share precious information with people like that, and said he'll get in touch when he's done with his errands. Kang continues to note down places that can be looted after the apocalypse. He also ran into that same doctor. She has something to give him. It's a first aid kit, with antibiotics and anesthetics. Kang was visibly surprised to receive something so valuable. The doctor told our protagonist where she lives. It's crucial for them to know each other's locations. She's stopping by the muscular guy's house soon, so she has to get going. However, she made it very clear that our boy must keep his promise and share his address with her. Kang thinks this woman is way too intense. The truth is, he visited several places in that city, buying various pieces of equipment, further improving his shelter in the other world. With the excavator he rented, his work became even easier. All this while, the world grows even more chaotic. On television, fatalists and skeptics argue endlessly. An emergency United Nations conference was also convened. Nothing seems to be going well, and the meteor continues to approach. The last omen is the Russian ship, and it's about to happen. The apocalypse is near. After confirming no one was there, our boy entered an abandoned building. There's a reason to take such a huge risk of being turned into a zombie. He needs to get the weapons that are on the Russian ship. Our boy can resist the particles. If everything goes wrong now, life will be much worse in 5 days. He has to take the risk. He could also live alone in the other world, but being the only person there would be extremely depressing. All preparations have been made. Our boy has no desire to die now. It's time to reap great rewards because that's what life is all about. Our boy is reading some more notes when he's startled by an audible warning. Things are really starting now. A disaster alert is being broadcast to everyone. Sirens are wailing loudly. Several vessels are docked in that area, and from a distance, a large ship is approaching the shore. The vessel seems to be out of control. Seeing it in person, our boy can't even believe the scale of the destruction. The waves swept away a large part of the waterfront. That ship must be full of dangerous creatures. But natural disasters are things that leave anyone feeling powerless. It's time for our protagonist to start moving. He needs to do it as quickly as possible, before the people associated with the government arrive. Using his makeshift boat, he approaches the large Russian vessel. For now, everything is going according to his plan. On the ship's deck, the first zombies have been sighted. The creatures have also noticed our boy's arrival, who is properly equipped for a major battle. The zombies in this game consider any life form their prey. The more they feed, the stronger they become. For now, our boy can defeat them without much difficulty, cracking skulls with just a few blows. This was much easier than he was expecting. Even with metal weapons, it should have been a bit more work. Kang won't let this make him careless. He's a veteran player. He can't afford to make mistakes. Entering the vessel, he saw several other zombies. Finishing off the ones in the hallway will be easier. Kang's objective is to get a pistol, and he already knows its location. But as he moved through, he was surprised by gunfire. There must be someone else alive, someone who hasn't awakened yet. It's time to save this background character. Unfortunately, Kang arrived too late. At least our boy managed to get a pistol. Now he can get back on his way. Things like this are going to happen much more often. Eventually, he'll have to take a living person's life. Just as he was about to leave, our boy saw another boat approaching. It must belong to an awakened one too. This person was hiding their identity, and they passed right by our boy, completely ignoring him. Kang had already done what he needed to, so he ignored the other player. The next day, he read some news. People wanted to know where the game's developer was. The nation's president was under increasing pressure, and he thinks just like our protagonist. Kang was ready to share some information. Calling the Doomsday Secretariat, he shared what he knew about when the apocalypse would happen. The secretary on the other end was very concerned. Kang revealed what had happened with the monsters in the forest. That was enough to convince the secretary of the truth. Everything is going to happen on July 20th, and a package will arrive that afternoon. He hoped those people would know how to use it wisely, because they were going to need all the luck in the world. After everything that had happened, the president's resolve impressed everyone. Our boy continued to watch everything. A lot was still going to happen. Everyone was advised to stockpile supplies, and to return to their homes immediately, because things would get worse on the 20th. At first, the population seemed to be complying. Kang almost regretted not informing them sooner. If he had known the government would take it so well, he might have done it earlier. But he quickly changed his mind. The disaster was still coming, and he couldn't dwell on what might have been. Not to mention the determination he had gathered that day to keep surviving. Our boy is an ordinary person. He's not a hero. Since everything in the real world was at a standstill, he decided to stay in the other world. He still had a few more holes to dig with the excavator. He also organized all the videos he had saved. On the second day, he went for a walk with his dog, and he learned that sun apples grow in just 1 month. Maybe the whole forest was fertile and magical. On the third day, a problem occurred. 2 jars of sweet potato jam had disappeared. He also found a very strange grape. The dog wasn't responsible for this. It was time to start another investigation. Dingo suggested our boy check the security equipment. Through the recordings, he discovered something unusual. Small beetles had infiltrated the place, and they were the ones who stole the sweet potato jam. Even though they were insects, they seemed to be self-aware. Another problem for our protagonist. He decided to close the dog's exit to prevent situations like this from happening again. It was also time to bring in some visitors. They were our boy's friends, who had gathered there to listen to him. Among them was a new person. According to the muscular guy, the last member of the team, the newcomer introduced himself politely. Despite being an awakened, he knew nothing about the game. He's an electrical engineer and was confident he could help. Kang really liked this new addition. It was time to get to the main topic. They needed to exchange important information. They would start with the big muscular guy. He said he had called his ex-wife, and the signal suddenly dropped. Worried about his daughter, he decided to drive to her. On the way back, he found some barricades blocking the road. Citizens were being evacuated, especially those living near the thermonuclear power plant. It was the doctor's turn. She didn't have much information, but she knew a shelter had been built in the city park. It seemed unlikely, but she saw it with her own eyes. Next was the hairdresser, who had heard a rumor. Army officers who disagreed with the president were imprisoned. For our protagonist, the sum of this information wasn't so bad. The apocalypse was really coming, even though he already knew it. There was another reason he had asked for everyone's input. To make them understand, motive and information were needed. Revealing the truth now would make everything easier, but it also posed a risk, so he asked everyone to pay close attention now. The president was thinking about order during the apocalypse. It might seem strange, given the recent restrictions. Public services were shut down. No one knew why the president made this decision. Maybe the apocalypse was getting closer. According to the doctor, they already knew which day it would happen. Maybe on the 20th, when the lockdown ends. The newcomer wanted to go to his family if it was true, but our boy asked him to wait. There was a reason they were all there. It was time to share the tutorial strategy. The muscular guy didn't know how our boy knew so much. Kang said he had watched videos from the veteran player, and he apologized to his friends for it. They could use this information however they wanted, but he hoped they would follow the manual at all costs. After everyone left, our boy went to the terrace. He had prepared a lot. There was no guarantee everything would be perfect. He had been a bit selfish, and that could be a problem in the future, but he hoped he wouldn't carry any regrets. On the horizon, he saw several missiles being launched. It was an attempt to blow up the meteor, but the apocalypse was completely inevitable. It was time for it to begin. On the morning of the last day, the lockdown was lifted. Kang followed his routine as usual, using microdoses of the Kururu toad's venom, while also doing physical exercises to get even stronger. He was already in his battle gear. He made his breakfast in the company of his dog, Lobo, patiently waiting for 9 a.m. The power, which had been cut, came back on, and the president was ready to make an announcement. His words were very impactful. Kang started to wonder if someone had planned this apocalypse. He wished this wasn't happening, but there was no other option. As a veteran, it was time for him to survive. He went to the other world to confirm he had plenty of supplies. The normal world had become a living hell. People were fighting over anything, and there were those who had lost all moral control, doing whatever they had always wanted, but there were also those who were killing others without a second thought, like that tattooed guy's group, who's a huge jerk. Soon, all metal would be destroyed. They needed to take advantage of it while it still existed. Kim directly threatened our protagonist, and hoped he wouldn't become a zombie, just so he could finish him off himself. Kang thought this was was all very stupid. That's when pamphlets started falling from the sky with survival instructions. If there were more people like our boy, this situation wouldn't be so bad. The problem was human nature itself. Kang now had to venture into the apocalypse. There were only a few minutes left before the end. Those items should be enough for the metal plague. Our boy had memorized the route he needed to take to collect items. Everything that could be done had been done. There was no time for regret. From now on, all he could do was pray to God that everything would work out. On the streets, people were beginning to transform. A great epidemic had spread. The zombies started to rise. Among them, our boy passed by on his motorcycle. There were fewer zombies in that area than he had expected. Most people had spent their last moments with their families. It almost seemed like there were no survivors, which favored our boy's strategy. Otherwise, he might have faced resistance from other people. Our boy had just arrived at the first store. After breaking the glass, he immediately opened his portal. It was time to move quickly. It takes time for the zombies to become dangerous. Our boy was grabbing as many items as possible to avoid unnecessary fights. Poor Lobo the dog was almost crushed on the other side. The pharmacy had just been completely cleared out. If he kept up this pace, it would be faster than expected. However, the next store was completely sealed. Something like this was already part of his plan. That's why our boy brought a blowtorch. The only problem was the noise that tool made. Some creatures appeared nearby. They were ready to finish off our protagonist, who had drawn a lot of attention. It was the same situation that happened on the Russian vessel. Since these creatures hadn't fed yet, they were very weak. Our protagonist just needed to use a little violence. Knowing their weak spots, defeating them was an easy task. Kang only needed a few hits. With that, he managed to gain a lot of points, but he couldn't stay there forever. Luring them all into an alley was a better strategy. Unfortunately, our boy couldn't move away from that spot. He decided to launch an attack to finish them all. For now, he was just protecting himself with his shield, but time was precious. Even though he was completely surrounded, he wasn't afraid. He just had to keep fighting and protecting himself. He has over 5,000 hours in this game. There's no way he could lose here. These creatures were too weak. The fun had finally come to an end. It was time to get to work with the blowtorch, managing to collect all the items he needed. Upon arriving at the police station, all the weapons had already been looted. Among the bodies out front, he saw that one of them was carrying a bag. Inside were a few guns that could be useful. With everything gathered, it was time to hit the road. He headed to a motorcycle repair shop, getting a much easier vehicle to use. Since he'd worked hard, our boy went to the other world to rest for a bit. He returned as soon as he felt refreshed, ready to gather more items. That's when he ran into that tattooed jerk, who wanted revenge at all costs. They were already looking for our protagonist. His lightning attack failed to hit him. Kang is impressed by the obsession of these extras. Time to make them happy too. As the tattooed guy approaches, the smoker keeps watch. The tutorial hadn't started yet, so taking them out wouldn't result in any punishment. And even if it did, the first offense only gets a warning. The only problem now is our boy's conscience. If he had a choice, he wouldn't do this. But it was time to put this poor guy to sleep forever. Kang asked why they were chasing him. It's because our boy took someone they wanted. This only made our guy even more furious. It's time for him to hear the truth, or things are going to get ugly. The tattooed guy didn't seem to understand, getting ready to react. He pulled his gun and managed to fire at our boy, but he missed. Now his luck had run out. Kang knew exactly what to do. It was time to take out the trash, earning 50 points in the process. Doing this to a real person isn't pleasant at all. The other jerk finally came to see what happened. Our protagonist is ready to collect more points, but the poor soul was already surrounded by zombies, becoming their meal. Kang just watched as the scumbag begged for help. People like that don't deserve to live in the apocalypse. To reduce conflict between players, those who defeat another player are flagged as dangerous. The intention is good, but the game's regulation of it is a complete mess. That's why the first attack is only punished with a warning. The punishment only kicks in from the third attack onward. On the second attack, the game analyzes the circumstances and might not even punish anyone. The reason players attack each other is to get points faster and to steal skills. The last game update also added special abilities, which made the game fun again. A downside to this is the death field. When too many players are gathered in one place, an enchantment forces a barrier to be summoned, forcing them to fight each other. It can be a very advantageous situation for those who usually attack others. But back when it was just a game, there were 4 players who were better than everyone else. After what happened, our protagonist's heart calmed down a bit. There was no punishment from the system. What our boy did was simply fight against injustice. When this happens again, he'll be used to it. Stopping by the gear shop and the pharmacy was a good call. But now our boy is surrounded by zombies. And outside, Some other players are fighting too. It seems those people are in a major standoff. The guy with the bat is very confident. On the other side are people who are a bit more anxious. One of them fired, since his skill involves shooting other players. He managed to injure the overconfident guy, making his group very apprehensive. These are the end times. People have to survive. The next arrow is going straight for the head. With that, they achieved a momentary victory. But the situation wasn't resolved. The losing team knows there are zombies outside, so they started banging on the walls to make a lot of noise, leaving the other players terrified. The group that had lost the battle started to flee, as zombies closed in on their location. Our protagonist opened his gate once more. He needs to get to the army battalion, but his time is running out. It's time to ask the dog for help. It's time for the poor thing to get to work too. There's a place where zombies gather in the beginning, where consuming nutrients is much easier. These are markets of any kind, a location that should be avoided. But players like our protagonist think differently. He's already brought plenty of gasoline to this place. It's time to eradicate his enemies and earn a lot of points in the process. Everything is already prepared. It seems a bit wasteful, but with the metal plague, everything will be lost anyway. It'll be a good opportunity for the dog. It's time for him to do as he was trained. Dingo was sent to carry out his canine mission. Inside the market, the zombies are feeding. Surprised by the dog's arrival, they try to capture the small creature, but they aren't fast enough. Dingo managed to lure all the monsters towards him. Now, they are all heading outside, where they are greeted by our protagonist, who decided to set them all on fire. This caused a huge explosion, and he finally reached level 10. The item gathering was very productive. The buildings in that place will soon collapse. Our boy summoned a portal in the middle of the road, ready to go to the other world, and there, he exchanged all his materials to get rid of any metal. It's time to get back to training. Kang needs to learn how to use all his tools. Now he's properly prepared. There are only 3 minutes left before things get worse, which gives our boy the feeling that everything could go wrong. The portal only allows him and his items to pass through, and the diseases of the apocalypse spread through the wind. The spores are very dangerous to humans. Meanwhile, metal will be completely doomed due to the corrosion. That's why our boy went to a training ground surrounded by wood. Even so, he remains worried. If something goes wrong, he can escape. Right now, he has only one objective, and he must stay focused on it for everything to work out. The great metal corrosion arrived in the city. All the buildings began to shake immediately. In a matter of seconds, there was nothing left standing. The metal plague destroyed all of civilization. Everything humanity had built no longer exists, gone in the blink of an eye. Kang watches what is happening through his portal. Humanity has returned to the Stone Age. It's truly terrifying to witness something like this. Another explosion happened in the city. It might be that the army's weapons depot has exploded. Our protagonist is trying to control his fear. He still has some metal parts in the other world, and even though he prepared, it's not ideal. Many doubts are surfacing now, even though he already has a plan. Returning to his hideout, he was surprised by something. Those little beetles that steal food. This time they returned, bringing some roots. Our protagonist approached to receive the gift, thinking it was an apology, but in reality it was a trade. They want more food. Kang thought that was a bit much on their part, which doesn't change anything because the beetles are extremely cute. Our boy is now having second thoughts. To give them food, he needs to receive special items in return, but maybe these creatures aren't capable of understanding him. That's when the impossible happened. One of the beetles started drawing in the dirt. Our boy was completely incredulous. The creatures are willing to bring ores in exchange for food. This is a much more interesting trade. But the beetle leader still has something to say. He gathered with his companions to establish a plan. After everything was settled, a contract appeared through the system, something truly new for our boy, who ended up agreeing anyway. A mutual exchange of ore and food, a slightly excessive formality. With nothing to lose, Kang agreed to all the terms, but he really has no idea how this might affect his life. At least these little creatures will do the work for him. Knowing this, our boy asked them to wait a bit. He brought some food, as he knew they were hungry. The little creatures were happy once again, receiving those sweets as if they were great treasures. As they leave with the food, our boy remembered he needs the ores. If that didn't happen, he promised he would hunt down every last one of those creatures. Now that he's calmer, he remembered the start of the game's tutorial, a very dark night. There are a few hours left until it gets dark. It's time to start moving too. The items he took from those people are quite diverse. Among them is a ceramic knife. It's time to find out where these scumbags are hiding. Our boy now went to analyze the data he got from the recording cameras. To analyze all that information, he has a wide variety of content, great for passing the time. And from it, he discovered something unusual. Kyung, who must be the hairdresser, was a famous singer. She's very attractive, so that's plausible. But for some bizarre reason, our boy decided to delete that content. And he started to remember the time when they were just colleagues. He prefers to keep those memories. It's time to see the level 10 rewards. Opening the game's shop. The prices are a bit different, but he wants to buy items number 6 and number 11. They immediately appear before him, ready to take advantage of a small glitch from that game. With the shop, storage slots also also appear, which is really beneficial for a player. This makes organizing his equipment easier. He successfully stores 5 items. Ready to leave, he gave the dog the mission of guarding the house. It's time for our boy to venture out and try out the tutorial. The city is truly desolate. Lit by the moonlight, he hopes to find his way. Before moving on, he realized he'll need an item. He wanted to save it for later, but the situation made it necessary. Our boy consumed the grapes that enhance night vision, ready to see in the dark. Kang soon saw that there were some zombies in his path, so he decided to take a safer route. One of the flaws in that game is the lack of communication about events, but the tutorial is different. The game is a bit clearer. A wall of zombies will soon be formed. Our boy must avoid being seen by them, or this will happen. The same happens when a player gets an item, so it must be done in a special way. A glitch in the game is to look directly into the void. After a while, something will appear. You need to grab the item before it fully appears, and this causes the item to be duplicated. This steel rod is truly a formidable item. Our boy stored it immediately, but the creatures are already approaching him. His escape must be silent. He doesn't want to attract unnecessary attention. There are many ways to complete the tutorial. The first is by defeating the zombies, until there's nothing left in that region. But there is also another way. It involves the wall of zombies, which has just been formed. Our boy realized it's challenging, and he doesn't have the same strength as his former companions. But that's okay. He has a special strategy. Just find the boss and finish it off. Our boy ran without stopping. But his path isn't random. He knows the tutorial very well and needs to pass through a special point. Only then will the boss appear in that location. Kang keeps searching, but the grapes effect will soon wear off. The checkpoint is somewhere around there. Amidst a lot of debris, our boy found a building. This is the right place. Now he can catch his breath until the boss appears. He decided to go to the roof. He needs to see the creature that will emerge to think of a strategy. Unexpectedly, someone was already on the roof. The hairdresser. He learned from her that all the shelter members are alive. He just didn't understand why she was outside. The hairdresser said she read the entire manual. The muscle guy said they should stick together, but the monsters appeared. It got a little messy, but it turned out okay. Kang, realizing things could get very complicated, and while still pretending not to be an awakened, he warned that the boss is about to appear. The girl wants to know the method for victory, but our protagonist doesn't know yet, stating that they were pushed into this situation. After the boss is defeated, the zombies scatter. That's what the best player's recording taught. Kang is already more confident about this. A blue glow appeared near them, greatly strengthening one of the zombies. It seems to have some kind of antenna on its head. Our boy asked if anything about the hairdresser's body had changed. That antenna has the ability to seal things. Worried, the girl checked her status window, and her trait was sealed. The same seems to have happened to our boy. It's time for Kang to find out if the girl trusts him. He asked if the flare gun and equipment are in her backpack. The items are all together, which is very good. Putting on his helmet, Kang declared that he will defeat the boss. But he knows it won't be an easy task, because he won't be able to use his portal. Even so, this is nothing new to him. There were no traits in the game, no sealing abilities. The creature blocked other things. Our boy can't be careless. It's time to use his bow. This skill can still be used, which is great luck for our guy. His enemy must be at a lower level than him. The reward certainly won't be as good, even though the task is risky. At least he's not alone. Before starting the attack, he heard the hairdresser. She used a flare to get the creature's attention. Things are going according to plan. Kang is now ready to attack, and his strength increased by 1 more point. This attack should be enough to settle things. The arrow pierced the creature, but our boy missed the head because it's too dark. He needs to resort to another method, standard violence, using his own hands to finish off the monster. It's time to eradicate it. A single blow exploded the creature's head, ending the skill restriction. Kang looked around, hoping to find an item. He received a bracelet that increases understanding by 2 points. The hairdresser soon appeared too, via teleportation. Our boy received another 17 points, without understanding where they came from. Looking at his friend, he showed her the bracelet. She doesn't want to accept the item, but the protagonist insists, because the victory only happened because of her. Now they need to go to their other allies. Outside the building, our boy realized it could be dangerous. He's going to fall soon. It could happen at any moment. It's time to find the others. The muscle guy was sure our protagonist would be alive, and he received him with great satisfaction. Everyone is happy to still be alive. Now they need to go inside to talk properly. They soon learned that our boy defeated the boss. Kang tries to say it was no big deal. He only achieved victory because he had the hairdresser's help. The other guy, the electrical engineer, was very impressed hearing this. Our boy's friends got some items following his guidance. The muscle guy couldn't find the checkpoint. There were zombies everywhere. Certainly, the tutorial is balanced according to each player's level. They managed to earn some points by defeating zombies. Escaping is also rewarded, as is helping someone. The hairdresser was happy to hear that news. And interrupting the meeting, the muscle guy asked what our boy's trait was, telling him to stop playing the fool. He's sure our boy isn't awakened, because all the survivors are now too. Kang doesn't like this possibility. The information he has isn't absolute. He has a lot to answer for now. The muscle guy, to no one's surprise, had his physique strengthened, while the engineer can make puppets. As for the hairdresser, we all already know. Kang is still very anxious, but it would be nice not to have to lie anymore. He just doesn't know how his team will react to this. It might just be his personality exaggerating everything, imagining his friends will be jealous. He wanted to reveal his abilities to true friends, so he decided to confirm that he isn't awakened, but he ended up lying once again, saying he can predict attacks. This made the engineer happy, imagining our boy will never be cornered. Kang said he only sees the path of an attack. Now he wants to know the next step. For the muscle guy, they should focus on getting stronger, because he knows that having access to the shop is the most important thing, and soon, he wants to crush those jerks who tried to attack the hairdresser. Our protagonist really likes this determination. Full of curiosity, the engineer asked what our boy's level was. Since he defeated the boss creature, he imagines our boy has been hunting creatures for a long time. Before he could continue talking, the muscle guy acted, saying our boy must be level 4 at most. The hairdresser also agrees with this version, as she is at level 2. Kang didn't expect these two friends to help him cover up his lies. He just didn't need to knock out that poor guy. Since it's late, Kang said he's going to leave, but the muscle guy still has something to say. He'd like to give him some items and a little food. Kang was flattered by this gesture. In fact, the muscle guy asked if our boy knows why he's divorced. It's time to tell this story. He was afraid of catabolizing his muscles. This obsession became a real problem in his relationship. But what he's trying to say now to our boy is that everyone has things they don't like to reveal, and he can talk about it when he feels comfortable. Kang was quite moved by this gesture, knowing his companions suspected he was hiding something. It was his turn to say something before leaving. If the muscular guy levels up more, he'll get much stronger. So he needs to stay alive until the day they can be together. For now, Kang still needs to keep his distance. Back in the other world, our boy had to bundle up because it was snowing. Even though it was very hot on Earth, this made no sense at all. At least everything he needed was already stored away. The ice was reinforcing his defenses even more, but working with the excavator wouldn't be possible. It was time to make new plans. A major purpose of this game is survival. In the face of all these absurd monsters, players can store up to 5 items and have up to 10 skills. When the limit is reached, the oldest skill is eliminated. That's why every player needs to think this through very carefully. This is only true in the game. In real life, the variables are absurd, and our boy doesn't know what the most critical changes are. It was time to think about it. His supplies were all prepared. He needs to keep gaining skills and items to survive. This means he can't lose his momentum. As for this large forest, he needs to increase his defenses and ensure the valley's safety, while also paying attention to everything happening on Earth. There was so much to do, it left our boy feeling uneasy and anxious about all the details. When the zombies are sleeping, he'll try to get some fireworks. That will be the focus for tonight. Meanwhile, on Earth, the assholes were also at work. Their leader is very despicable and violent. The girl by his side is the one who makes him slightly better, because this guy wants to eliminate anyone. Kang carefully observes these other players, who are still obsessed with him. By the weapons they're carrying, they must want to set something on fire. This couldn't be ignored. So our boy revealed his presence. The asshole didn't like finding him at night. Kang stated that zombies are diurnal creatures, so the night is calmer. Moving around is much safer this way. The asshole's leader knows that stronger monsters appear for players level 17 or higher. He's still at level 5, which makes the night safer. Kang praised his line of reasoning, but made it clear that this belief could be wrong. This immediately frightened the asshole. To make matters worse, our boy said he was going to loot their camp, which sparked the asshole's rage. He immediately ordered his cronies to finish off our boy, but the action was interrupted by a strange noise. A different kind of zombie decided to show up. Kang was already fleeing at high speed, pursued by the assholes. One of them seemed to have a speed trait, which didn't help much, as he ran right into our boy's portal, falling unconscious to the ground. The assholes wouldn't stop to help. In a short time, the side character was dead. The others now had to change their escape route. The girl ended up running into a skeleton, which exploded immediately, leaving the asshole's leader all alone. Near that large, dangerous creature, he attacked it with all his might, not wanting to die like this, but his strength was far too little. It was time to be consumed by the creature. Kang watched as the large zombie had its snack. Protected by the gate, he could defeat the creature by himself. This single shot should resolve the whole situation. The poor creature was bent over in pain. The metal plague corroded the bullet, reducing its damage. A few more shots were needed, until finally there was no life left in it. Our boy acquired the terrain detection skill, as well as 20 points, not to mention the items from that asshole, who wouldn't be needing them anymore. It was time to visit the hideout of these scumbags. They had managed to store a lot of interesting things. Kang was already organizing everything. He now had the fireworks he wanted. With the dog's help, our protagonist managed to avoid the dangerous creatures. The sleeping zombies weren't dangerous. He just had to hit them in the head. Kang was now at level 14. Which was very good. After a long night's work, our boy needed to rest. He now had more supplies in the other world, which was still going through winter. Since there were many flammable products, he had to be careful. Kang also needed to make sure his other allies were still alive. Just then, he heard something outside the door. It started to rain. The weather had changed abruptly. With thunderstorms present, he decided to stay in the other world. To avoid unnecessary risks, his moat was finally built, and the winter decided to leave, bringing a more pleasant climate to the place. The problem was Earth, which continued to suffer from storms. This made our boy move his plans forward. While exploring the forest, he recognized that firearms were a great addition, because they take a long time to be released by the game. The only way to get them is through combat. For now, the dog was his most useful tool. His understanding had also increased greatly, and with the ability to sense the terrain, hunting became easier. The owl bear was fishing for some fish. Kang had 15 shots to take, and this creature was more powerful than the monsters on Earth. At least 7 shots were needed to defeat it. Bullets are a scarce resource, so our boy couldn't afford to miss. His first shot hit the bear's head, leaving the creature quite enraged. It tried to find who had done this, but our boy had already changed position, firing 2 more shots. The bear was increasingly confused, its body wounded. Incapacitated, it couldn't react to our boy, who was now ready to finish this enemy. Gathering its strength, the bear tried to attack. Kang summoned 2 items he had saved for this occasion, the lighter and the fireworks, which were being used as a grenade. Our boy would protect himself from the blast with a shield. It happened in mid-air, distracting the creature, which seemed mesmerized. Its sensitive eyes were hurting badly. Using a large drill, Kang was going to end it all, making his valley even safer. Now at level 15, he gained Silent Walk and an extra storage slot, great additions for him. The bear's claws could also be used as a weapon, so our boy would take everything useful from the carcass. Kang was savoring his meal, eating the fish. His dog was also eating a lot, eating as many fish as it possibly could. For our protagonist, this was very good. It was time for the dog to get bigger and stronger, something that was already happening gradually. After the meal, it was time to get back to work. The auction house, a game feature, seemed pretty normal. It also charged a 10% fee, double what it was in the game. This ended up discouraging our guy. Kang saw that a player had put his item up for sale. Our boy needed to stay calm now, trying to imagine who could have put that up for sale. This led our protagonist to check the comment section, and he soon recognized that way of expressing oneself. Anonymity within this game is very valuable. Players could change their character's gender and even their voice. Their IDs were revealed in the global chat, but personal information is confidential unless the player chooses to reveal it. But veteran players don't always follow what the developers want, especially this one person who kept writing in a very particular way. It seemed like they wanted to draw attention. Kang quickly sent a voice message, which was answered immediately. Even so, the conversation wasn't flowing smoothly. To our boy's surprise, it was just his impression. The item's seller was very excited. He learned that he was acting alone. This other player knew someone had helped the government by sharing information, and thought it was a girl. Before long, Kang grew to like this person, who was now ready to reveal themselves to him, believing they would work together. His trait is Resurrection. As long as he has points, he can do it indefinitely. He was already at level 17. And he also had several types of resistance. He now wanted to know what our boy's trait was. Who wasn't so interested in sharing that right now? Because he has trouble trusting others. But if he met this player in real life, he was willing to tell him the truth. Willing to earn our boy's trust, this player decided to give him a magic ring. It took a lot of work to find it, and it would be sold for only 10 points. Kang, being an experienced player, knew this item was very valuable, but it seemed that other player really wanted to earn his approval. When the game was still just a game, the rabbit princess was the first friend he made. The two were especially close, and this was the mysterious player on the other end. Our protagonist was very grateful for the ring. He decided to return the favor by putting some materials up for sale. The bear claws and the fish made the rabbit princess very happy. He realized that dangerous monsters were already starting to appear, but that doesn't matter now. The fish looks delicious. The only problem now is the distance between them. Our boy hopes that in real life his friend is at least dressed, something he's not too inclined to obey. That was the first decent meal the young man had in a long time. Slowly, Light began to stream through his bedroom window. The storms were over, a good omen. Maybe our protagonist has become a god. That's also a possibility. After eating the fish, the rabbit jumped out the window, crushing some zombies that were on the ground. It's time to find his friend after being separated for so long. There was just one problem now. The poor guy doesn't know how to get around the city. It's been about 3 days since the storms ended. Our protagonist's friends are adapting very well. The engineer has already reached level 5 and can send his puppets farther away. They are also living in a place closer to our boy's house. That pair of background characters, kind of useless, are now a couple. The muscular guy managed to reach level 10 and unlock the shop. Kang continues to guide his friends on what to do so they can continue to grow stronger safely. He also didn't forget to use the auction house, given that his friend, the rabbit, is still lost in the city. Starting from level 15, the amount of experience needed to level up doubles, making things more exciting. At least our boy can get around this in another way. There's much to be done in the other world. Inside his hideout, our protagonist observes the indestructible knife. It was made by his beetle friends. The trade for ores was already good enough. And what intrigues our protagonist even more is how these insects made it. The small creatures wanted to be recognized. Kang gave them a coin, asking them to use it as raw material. The creature immediately started biting the metal, building a small knife with it. This left our boy genuinely surprised. The small knife is quite perfect, but the larger one seems to have some defects. A comment like that really shook the creature's emotions. Kang decided to cheer them up a bit, telling them to try harder. The creatures made a drawing on the wall. They're being hunted by goblins, and that makes their work difficult. Kang wants to know where these enemies live. Knowing his way around the map, the beetle leader showed him where the enemies are, receiving a promise from our protagonist that this would be handled. But he needs their help too. They just need to keep working the metal to be rewarded. A good relationship is being built between them. Kang continues exploring with his dog. Normal zombies no longer pose any danger, as our protagonist annihilates them with ease. Even when surrounded, the poor things can't do anything. This is becoming a habit. After walking for a while, Kang arrived at another village, a place he had never visited before. He needs to find out if his friends are still alive. Since the others became awakened, the chances are high. And having a doctor alive could be crucial, but he must acknowledge that she might be a zombie. The location of that place is also a bit dangerous, as it's near a shelter full of people, the one set up by the government. Our protagonist called the dog to get into his bag, since he would need to climb a rope. He continues searching for the doctor, but this path is too challenging for a normal person. Observing the floors, Kang realized all of it was the doctor's handiwork. He just needs to find her now, and she's already waiting for him. However, she warned that there's a dangerous person in the area, before realizing she was talking to our protagonist. It seems she was communicating with someone else. Our protagonist went there to collect money for medicine. This made the doctor a bit more wary. Kang also wants to know who this dangerous person is. Welcoming him into her apartment, she warned him that the conversation would be long. Kang is sitting on the doctor's sofa, talking, while she tells him everything she knows. She's a machine gun of words, not even letting the poor guy get a word in. The gist of it is this. There are 3 groups of people in that region. A slightly larger group of about 10 people emerged. They suggested the shelter be opened and the supplies shared. 2 groups immediately refused. This led the others to settle the discussion with violence. The leader of this other group is a mental degenerate. Our boy figures this asshole is related to my dream, as he must control minds. His control probably has a limit, since he makes an offer instead of giving a direct order. Now, they must act cautiously, and Kang doesn't want to reveal his trait either, and that's the long and short of it. Several people were defeated, while the third group remains intact. Kang needs more information to know how to act. The doctor's trait is healing, which is great. She earns points by helping others, and hunting is very difficult for her since she's a support character. Our protagonist quickly realized that the leader of this degenerate team must also be a support character. This makes sense to the doctor too, as his followers are strong. The hypothesis fits the situation like a glove. As for the doctor, she has other plans to carry out. She's sure someone is about to confess to her. It's a bit embarrassing, but her group is full of idiots, which is why she answered the door so irritated. The doctor also hates those who are driven solely by their desires. Kang agrees that this is indeed a problem. However, she knows these idiots aren't bad people. As for our protagonist, he's going to supervise the shelter, a dangerous task, knowing there are assholes around. Before leaving, he gave the doctor a gift, an ore. It serves as a natural lamp. The doctor presumed from the gift that our boy had unlocked the shop. This is true, and in fact, Kang assured her he could repay her for her medical favors. Now we're taken to the leader of the assholes, who is purifying this region. His subordinates continue to attack other survivors. Soon, everyone will be eradicated. As for the other team, he knows they haven't made a move yet. The asshole leader wants to attack someone from that group, group to complete his plans. But not all of them have been tracked down yet. So far, they only know where the doctor is. The asshole leader gave an order. The enforcer must finish her off immediately. There's someone else he wants to find, but their location is uncertain, and this makes the asshole leader furious. He knows our protagonist is around here, and this player must be found immediately, with top priority. Since he's a support character, he doesn't gain points when his subordinates do, a major flaw. This frightens him, as he knows our protagonist could eventually take him out. If he doesn't reach level 15 soon, leaders from other areas will see weakness in him. Now My Dreams is furious. At least his subordinates managed to capture several zombies. An excellent job for this worm. He threw a cocktail at the creatures. The flames consume them all, and just like that, the great asshole My Dreams gets points and experience. It's time to give more orders to his henchmen. They have 3 tasks to perform now. First, they must figure out how to open the shelter. Second, they must continue capturing zombies for him. And lastly, they must find out where our protagonist is. Little does the worm know that a portal is right there near him. Kang observed everything that just happened. His enemy doesn't need to be so impatient anymore. It's time to share the fun a little. Back with the doctor, a poor guy is declaring his love for her. He even managed to pick a flower for his proposal. Cold as ice, she said it's not the time for this, as there's a dangerous player in the area. The guy said he used his clairvoyance to make sure everything would be fine. This reminded the doctor that their companion died while hunting. Still, the background character insists that everything is safe and sound. Apparently, he can't see that the doctor is just getting more irritated. And to make matters worse, the guy really wants to be her boyfriend. Disgusted, the doctor said that hearing this makes no sense at all anymore. At that very moment, something happened to his heart. The poor guy started to feel strange. This is the sign that the dangerous player is nearby. This worm's clairvoyance is useless. They need to get out of there quickly, before a deathmatch arena forms. Using his clairvoyance, the guy is trying to locate the danger. He confirms that the dangerous player has just found them, and he seems to be very dangerous and enjoys what he does. Nothing good ever happens when the doctor is around this moron. Still, they manage to confirm something interesting. This player is wearing the uniform of that asshole's team, the one who attacked the others, My Dreams. Looking at them, the asshole invoked the death field, forming a large barrier around the 3 of them. The doctor knows they need to run and hide from this degenerate. The dangerous player, having attacked others before, is forbidden from running. Faced with danger, the doctor wished for the secret savior to appear this time, because the attacker is ready to slice them all up with great cruelty. The first strike came close, opening the way for a counterattack. An intense light temporarily blinded the asshole. The flashlight is really useful, but the doctor is an idiot, and took a punch to the ribs to teach her a lesson. The force was so great she bounced off the ground like a soccer ball. Now she's spitting up her liver. She celebrated too soon and got screwed. The poor girl barely has the strength to call for help, and the creep who confessed to her already ran off, like the beta he is. This made the doctor lose all hope. She was about to meet her maker. At the last second, Kang appeared to save the day and farm some aura. The asshole didn't like being interrupted, but that doesn't matter, since he's already getting his ass kicked. The doctor managed to sit up. She heard from our boy that she can't die yet. She still owes him a few favors. Hidden away, she began to heal herself. That asshole leader really knows how to brainwash people. The doctor's wounds are almost healed, thanks to her ability. As for the creep who confessed to her, he's already pushing up daisies. Still, she regrets what happened. It would have been nice to have a backup simp. In this situation, defeating a dangerous player who's strong and can regenerate is impossible. This scared the doctor, making her think there was no escape. The deathmatch is designed for players to meet inside this dome. On top of that, the barrier attracts zombies. But there's a flaw in the system, one our boy knows very well: a bridge, right there between those buildings. When there's another sound, the asshole will reach his emotional peak, and his eyes will turn red. The barrier will shrink, and an opening will appear for them to escape. But they'll only get one chance. Kang will give the signal, and the doctor will have to run. The boy will have to stay behind to handle this situation. The most important thing is to get outside. Now the doctor is on the 3rd floor, and our boy is on the 1st. The asshole's heartbeat is getting louder and louder. Kang waits for his arrival, only to be surprised by the wall, which was just completely destroyed. This asshole is seriously powerful because his trait is walking through walls. Motivated, the asshole tries to make his knife sing again, but the plot armor is strong. Kang still managed to hit his foe, crushing the poor guy's cheek. Even so, the creep is still alive. The damage he's capable of dealing isn't fatal. His enemy is also under the influence of another player's ability, making his attack pattern very simple and easy to read. The only real problem is his unreasonable strength. Kang realized he needs to end this creep's life soon, but he's a good guy and doesn't want to do it just yet. To get to the boss, he'll have to stick to his plan. Judging by the asshole's condition, stage 2 of that thing is was coming soon. While thinking about it, Kang lost sight of his enemy. He just vanished, closing in for an attack. This speed is now a huge problem, something Kang never imagined he'd have to deal with. It's time to use his items. A piece of ore has just been summoned. When sliced, it released a massive amount of light energy. With his enemy dazzled, Kang fled. The doctor waits for him on the upper floors, but the barrier hasn't shrunk enough yet. She has to keep waiting. Kang will hold off the enemy on the second floor. Slowly, the asshole approaches, like a villain from a trashy movie. His emotions are almost at their peak, a sign that there are only a few seconds left. Several blows were struck against our boy, who just needs to hold on a little longer. Finally, they reach the third stage. This is the signal Kang was waiting to give. The doctor sighs deeply. She runs towards the barrier, which is approaching her across the bridge between the buildings. Against all logic, she escaped that prison. But there are several zombies nearby. The doctor needs to keep running or she'll be dinner. At least she's no longer trapped with that dangerous asshole. Now she's hoping that Kang can save himself too. The zombies are blocking the exit. It's time for our boy to hurry. He runs desperately, but his enemy bursts from the ground like a persistent weed. Things are getting a little more difficult. Hidden by the dust, Kang suggested to his enemy they stop fighting, that this was getting boring, but the asshole seems to ignore everything. He wants to find someone to slice up slowly. Kang hid in his portal, ready to make it rain lead. If the asshole stands still and does nothing, he'll be spared. Outside, more and more zombies are gathering. Our boy opened a portal and continued his escape, reaching the doctor's position in no time. She's very curious, but she'll stay that way because time is short and they need to run. The asshole is still alive. Their destination is now the shelter, to bring the asshole to his group. There's a chance he's no longer being controlled. When a deathmatch ends, all negative effects are lifted. That was our boy's plan, to end the brainwashing, making the asshole's resentment turn against my dreams. A truly audacious plan. The asshole's name is Kim, and now he's confused, remembering nothing. A technician like him shouldn't be holding a knife, and his clothes are stained with what looks like menstrual blood. Slowly, fragments of memory are returning to him, his family, and other things too. Now he is filled with hatred. It's time to make my dreams suffer, a lot. Besides lying to him, he made him work like a puppet. Fireworks are lighting up the sky. Kim is ready to get his revenge on that scum. He moves with determination. This time he's going to kill someone, and with full malice. The one who set off the fireworks was our boy. The doctor didn't understand this, as it would alert their enemies. That's the intention, to make the asshole's leader very nervous. To the doctor, our boy is a genius. It didn't take long for them to see something interesting. Kim is already on the move, ready to end someone cruelly. His eyes are filled with hate. His target is already locked on. The leader of the assholes doesn't yet know what awaits him. He felt a shadow approaching. After that, a huge impact occurred nearby. Confused, My Dreams doesn't know how his subordinate appeared like that. Scared, he told him not to come any closer, or he would regret it dearly. Without a second thought, Kim activates the death field. The asshole leader's luck has just run out. Unfortunately, before he could get his revenge, he was interrupted by some useless extras. They'll do anything to save their boss, and someone managed to teleport him away. The asshole leader is now truly cornered, because Kim is dangerous with a knife in his hand. Even if he hypnotizes him, he still needs to get out of the deathmatch field. The only option is to kill everyone, his subordinates included, so he ordered them to hold Kim down. Kim got angry seeing those men being controlled like that, but since he has no pity, he decided to cut off their arms, leaving behind a few cripples. The asshole leader keeps giving orders to his henchmen, but not even arrows can do anything to him. He's too powerful. It's time to use some fire. As for the henchmen, their mission is to protect the boss, even if they have to sacrifice themselves. Once again, Kim is immobilized, but with his knife, he can cut through anything. Confident, the asshole leader can already see his victory approaching. One of the rules of that place is that the attacker can't run, and there are still plenty of henchmen to fight. That's why the leader believes Kim will be defeated. He throws an incendiary cocktail at him. The device hits the ground and starts burning people. Kim revealed he doesn't want to leave that place alive. The asshole leader taunted him, saying Kim abandoned his family on the first day, that he's weak. Arrows start cutting through the wind, hitting Kim's body, which is on fire. He was finally freed. Now he can have a worthy end after everything he's done. The asshole leader realized someone did that, someone he hadn't seen yet. This could only be the work of that guy he bullied in the bathroom. Furious, he started screaming, demanding that our protagonist reveal himself at once, but our boy is already far away, in the company of the single doctor. She decided to change positions. That neighborhood is too hectic. She also took the chance to thank our protagonist from the bottom of her heart. Kang said it was nothing, that it's good to have a doctor around too. She also helped a lot. At least she's not a freeloader. And as for the assholes, they won't be a problem anymore. Our boy guarantees it. After these exciting events, our boy took 3 days off because the guy's not made of iron. His survival skills seemed to be on vacation, so he got totally screwed. At least he gained a tracking skill and reached level 16. He also spent 300 points to buy a better weapon. And in the other world, he set some traps for wild boars. It's time to eat more protein. I don't know if you remember his friend, the rabbit princess, but that useless guy is still lost out there. The intelligent beetles keep working hard in exchange for food. Pure exploitation. But Kang is hunting goblins, so at least he'll keep his promise. Until that happens, our boy spends his time planting peppers in the garden. On the 4th day, he woke up and went outside. The engineer's plane wasn't moving as usual, and the message on it didn't look very good. Now, our boy is absolutely furious. Somehow, someone has just been very ungrateful to him. This awakened the worst part of our boy, who is ready to end more lives. That didn't last long, though. He doesn't want to become like those degenerate people. A little calmer, our boy took a deep breath to keep his composure. The muscle guy is having trouble with a side character. I don't know if it's the engineer or that asshole who's dating the other useless side character. It's the one dating the foolish girl, and he's still socializing with the enemy. A real traitor's move. If this were back in the hood, he would have been dealt with by now. Not to mention the doctor, who is lonely and needy. Kang can't afford to let his guard down. However, it's time to help the beetles. The humans can fend for themselves. Accompanied by his dog, our boy is ready to finish off the goblins. In fact, the canine has grown a lot. It must be drinking growth hormones every morning. The beetles are there too. It seems they enjoy a bit of violence. They even did the intel work, counting how many creatures were there. Because of this, they're worried. They don't think Kang is strong enough to do anything. Faced with their fear, Kang had to tell them he only looks weak. Besides, he's running out of patience. It's time to let the guns do the talking in this neighborhood. The time has come for the beetles to see up close what technology can do. Kang aims at one of the nefarious creatures. The first bullet tears into its target. The hill is under attack. Kang advances with his canine companion, slitting throats. After the first assault, they retreat. The dog decided to climb up on some rocks. It immediately started howling. The more powerful goblins heard this and ordered their minions to do something. Kang is already hidden, bow in hand, easily picking off more creatures. The stronger goblins aren't happy about this. It's their turn to feel a little fear too. The dog is big, and it's hungry. Properly cornered, there's nothing they can do but shit their pants. Since Kang likes to have fun, it's time to test his new sword. It seems to be very good at slicing up goblins and the like. Full of joy, he charges toward his enemies, cutting them all down as if they were made of cotton candy. Now that it's all over, it's time to dispose of the bodies, the worst part of the job. The ones who really enjoyed the show were the beetles, who are now celebrating enthusiastically. Unfortunately, Kang only received 60 points. He was expecting more rewards. The beetle leader called him over to see something. Inside one of the huts are some valuable items, more specimens of kururu, ores, and weird chickens. The dog really liked this. He already wants to chew on the chickens. Now our boy is finally happy. After this grand adventure, our boy started to complain about the heat. At least he has some ice to cool his skin. In this strange world, even though it's cold enough to freeze water, the forest is still green and lush. This mysterious land has some kind of mystical power. Unlike in the game, zombies aren't appearing frequently. In other words, they don't spawn artificially unless something happens to summon them, like the skeletons and that weird, slender-limbed zombie. The tutorial itself made a boss zombie appear. Following this logic, a shelter in an isolated area would be immune to zombie waves. Some things really aren't like the game, but inspired by it, Kang needs to keep speculating. Kang has just arrived at a rice processing plant. There's still a lot of food there. Soon, he will share it with his allies. The next day, our boy followed his exercise routine to keep from losing his mind. In the apocalypse, where everyone eventually goes crazy, this is essential. There are 3 things he values highly right now. The first is communication with his allies. In this regard, the engineer helps a lot with his ability. The second is to continue exploring the forest with his dog. The third is to stay in touch with the rabbit, his weird friend who sells items at the auction. During their last contact, something interesting happened. Someone is using items as a way to mark time. In the chat, several people are contributing to this. This could become a problem. They might end up discovering where the rabbit is since he loves getting attention, but it is what it is. Everyone for themselves. Busy as they are, he and the rabbit can't talk in code. At the auction, identification is anonymous, so someone could be manipulating the perceptible data. This is what gets the attention of fools. Kang decided to sell some ice to get the attention of these other players. For a cheap price, about 5 points. He waits patiently. In a short time, several reactions to this item appear. Everyone wants to get their hands on some ice in this infernal heat. From the messages, Kang figures at least 10 people must be participating in the auction. When some started talking shit, Kang got furious. Trolling our boy, some players listed common items for sale as if they were miraculous, since once they doubt the ice is real. Kang felt surrounded by idiots, but to his surprise, the ice was sold, and the person who bought it was shocked to receive actual ice. In the midst of the heat, the woman cools herself down, relieved. She even criticized the resident shit-talkers. This woman is powerful. Her trait is zombie domination, and with them, she lives a life of royalty. Her servants attack other zombies without being repelled. This helps her earn a lot of points without moving an inch. Gaining points is easy for her, so she doesn't suspect that for other players it's very dangerous. Unfortunately, the ice she bought melted way too fast. She'd like to know who the clever person was who managed to make it. Maybe it's someone with a water or ice domination trait. It would be interesting to have that person on her side, as an ally. With that in mind, she tries to contact the seller. Revealing her identity, she wants to know where the famous ice seller is. She also asks to buy more ice because this heat is just too agonizing. This automatically changed the reaction of the shit-talkers. By the username, which is something like Patino, it's a famous player, but our boy thinks it's just a fake. However, reading all those curse words, he was sure it was Patino. Since she hasn't gotten more ice or our boy's location, Patino is getting pissed. She gave our boy 10 seconds to cooperate, or she would move on. It might be the real Patino, but our boy wants to remain cautious. There are several players present in that auction chat. That's the problem. Kang put more ice up for sale, but he doesn't want to reveal himself, not yet. This only made Patino even more irritated, as that's one of her characteristics. It wasn't long before the rabbit joined the conversation too. Little by little, they are realizing they know each other. From the words appearing on the screen, with the characteristic mannerisms, Patino is also seeing the truth. The ice appeared for sale, and whoever did it is very cautious. Now she knows who's on the other side because they've done a lot together in the past. It's time for her and the rabbit to find their old, dear friend. Our boy, being an anxious person, doesn't really like this idea. After all this commotion, it's time for Kang to meet his other allies. On the way, he confirmed a few things. The tutorial was easier than expected, so there must be many survivors around. And zombies don't spawn automatically, even in areas with many people. There's no law, no order, but for those who are cautious, survival is a bit easier. It didn't take long for the hairdresser to find our boy walking down the streets. Kang is thoughtful and focused, as he has things to sort out there. The engineer noticed this right away. The hairdresser's trait has been strengthened. Now she can teleport with one other person. The doctor is also on the move, heading to a safer zone. But what really pissed Kang off was seeing the engineer's injured arm. The guy said it was nothing serious. He claimed he was just careless, but our boy knows that's a lie. Just by looking at the bandage, he can tell there's more to the story. The doctor confirms it. That wound was from an arrow, and she was the one who treated him. They shouldn't be hiding things from Kang. What happened wasn't an accident. It was done on purpose. Now, our boy is genuinely worried. The hairdresser is about to tell the truth. It all happened a little over an hour ago. She was using her ability to move some heavy boxes to the rooftop. That's when she heard a scream and got worried. She had a bad feeling and went to see what might have happened. The engineer had been hit, and a few assholes were standing there right in front of him. They were all wearing gym clothes, like it was some kind of uniform for their group, and she's sure the attack was intentional. If she says so, it must be true. All of this was enough to drain what little patience Kang had left. He's at his limit. These assholes are attacking the very team our boy is trying so hard to strengthen. They are far too important to our protagonist. The engineer handles communication, the hairdresser moves them, and the doctor, well, she's the doctor. That's it. Kang has decided he needs to eradicate some people from the face of the earth. Even after what happened, his allies are calm and composed. The doctor wants to know where the others are. According to the engineer, they had things to do that prevented them from being there, but he can't say where they are now, which is a problem. Kang asked where the communication dolls are and learned they're at the base. If someone is there, they can just contact them. He found out the 3 missing members are already there. It's time to pay them a visit. Through the doll, he learned that the 3 of them seem to be staring each other down, and this worries Kang. The hairdresser immediately wants to take our boy to the base. They need to do it fast to prevent anything bad from happening. Her powers begin to activate. Our boy was teleported and the trip seemed a bit painful. As soon as he arrived, he realized a fight between the muscle guy and the nobody almost broke out. Kang said he'd talk to his brawny friend later. For now, it's time to deal with the rotten apple, the one who looks down on our boy, believing he has no powers, which is irrelevant, because now this asshole is outnumbered. Even so, the nobody remains confident. He must think he has plot armor too. Kang wants to talk like a civilized person, but the nobody is just too damn cocky. To make things easier, the muscle guy decides to suppress his violent aura. The nobody did the same and said he gets annoyed with the muscle guy for agreeing with everything the protagonist says while never listening to him. He says it's not fair, but the muscle guy ignores him. He knows Kang is the real deal in this story. It's harsh, but he only follows the one who's right. Hearing this, the nobody was outraged. Kang had to intervene before things got worse. He tells the nobody that he has responsibilities to this group too, since they're living in an apocalypse now, and taking things seriously is the #1 rule for survival. He disobeyed orders and gossiped with another group. That's more than enough to get him kicked out. Even the muscle guy agrees with that. The useless girl said it's a misunderstanding, that they're not gossips. They needed to enter the auction to get information, so they hunted with another group. They did it for the good of the main group, as a way to help everyone. They need to get closer to the true veterans of the game. Kang felt his true allies were now looking at him, trying to turn the tables. The girl said that Kang also talks to other groups. This made the hairdresser defend our boy, who's been helping them since before everything collapsed. Even these two ungrateful ones were helped, while other people have done nothing so far. That's the real situation. Faced with this, the useless guy admitted he's useless. He doesn't want to harm anyone, and he apologized, but in a really crappy way. The muscle guy noticed this and said it's too soon to apologize, which ended up upsetting the nobody once again. But the muscle guy saw an opportunity. He said if these two pieces of shit want to leave, he can help with that. They had only stuck around because they were unsure if they could take some supplies with them. Before the world went to hell, they were clients at his gym for 3 years. Now, it seems the situation has been resolved, without any major losses for anyone. Finally, the shitty couple left, much to the main cast's delight. This leaves everyone very relieved. Now they can finally make real progress. The one left confused by this outcome was Kang, who was expecting a bit more violence, but the muscle guy knows that not everything has to be settled that way. In fact, he wanted to resolve the situation as soon as possible, without involving the others. Kang said that soon he will join them for good, news that greatly pleased his allies. He needs a few more weeks until things calm down a bit. These words renewed their enthusiasm. They are ready to keep on surviving. Showing them a book, Kang said it was a gift. Now, a flashback. The game's slogan was that one day, everything would be discovered. This game was never friendly to anyone. What Kang shared were notes on everything he had found so far. Overall, reality hasn't changed much compared to the game, and if there's one thing he knows about now, it's the dimensional gates, which are similar to the ones he has. In other words, dungeons are going to appear. In the game, they were key tools for spawning creatures and specific events, something fundamental to the survival logic. Kang has been studying this subject extensively. When the first hunting event ends, goblins will start appearing through a portal. First, players get a bit of meat, only for the game to then unleash a horde of furious goblins. This is going to happen, but Kang doesn't know when. The first event happens when the zombies become a bit more nourished. That's what he remembers. Hopefully, our boy's allies will be able to survive all of this. Goblins hunt humans, which makes them far more dangerous than zombies. Kang is already preparing for this, training with several different weapons. At the same time, he continues with his tasks in the other world. Obviously, he ended up getting much stronger, and by administering microdoses of the toad's sweat, he started to see results. His poison resistance has just reached level 2. It would be better if the immunity were complete. And now, a message has arrived for him, from the engineer. A tiger just appeared, and that's bad. This is the sign he needed. The apocalypse has just evolved once again. A tiger really appeared in the middle of the city. The engineer liked that. He feels like he's in a wildlife documentary. The muscle guy quickly brought him back to reality, telling him to use the binoculars to see if there's anything else out there. Like, for example, the danger this creature represents. It slices through zombies with no difficulty at all. The girls don't know where it came from, but the doctor believes it might have escaped from the zoo. Many animals must have already lost their lives in the city. Kang said that in the game the animals were summoned, but there's no evidence of that, since no one ever saw it with their own eyes. Perhaps the hunting event was adjusted for reality. That's the current hypothesis. The question is what they'll do now, and Kang is already being treated as their leader. For the muscle guy, this treatment is a given. Our boy has been taking care of them all this time. Since there's no other way, Kang will explain everyone's role from now on. First, they will hunt the animals to get some more food. The doctor and the engineer will provide support from the rear. The muscle guy will contribute with the violence since he seems to enjoy that sort of thing. Finally, the hairdresser will provide support, linking the two teams with her teleportation power. Kang is sure everything will work out, because that girl has monstrous potential. Before they start, he wants to know if anyone has anything to say, or any improvements for the strategy. Since everyone was silent, our boy assumed he had done something wrong. The truth is, the hairdresser and the engineer are happy to be receiving real orders. which saddens the muscle guy, as he's been trying to do that this whole time. In any case, they need to proceed with the plan, and the tiger won't be their target. That will be determined by their informant, and that role falls to the dog. Dingo runs through the city's destroyed streets trying to sniff something out. It didn't take long for him to find a group of defenseless sheep. He tried to attack one of them, but it seems this sheep is a karate black belt. The two animals stare each other down intensely. The sheep is ready to start a real brawl. It charges toward the dog, full of hate. Since he's no fool, he jumped onto a rock, and Kang is also ready to step in. The poor sheep was just hit by an arrow. Kang was annoyed. He wanted to take it down with a single shot. Since it made so much noise, the nearby zombies are coming to investigate. This complicates things, so the dog will have to draw their attention. The zombies want a snack too, and they'll get in the way if they can. Kang could take them out himself, but he chose to ask for help instead. The hairdresser appeared to help. Using her ability, she immediately pulled our boy out of harm's way. Seriously, teleportation is way too useful. The muscle guy has already collected 2 sheep, but they lost sight of the last one. Still, this is a very satisfying result for their first hunt. While still celebrating, his arm was hit by an arrow that came from a distance. Kang grew very worried seeing his ally injured like that. It's that same group of useless people, the ones in gym clothes responsible for injuring the engineer. Kang had seen them before and knows they're complete assholes. The hairdresser didn't like seeing them as she knows they're no good. Furious, Kang asked what they want. The asshole said they have 2 sheep, so they'll be taking one. Wanting to avoid an immediate conflict, Kang accepted this offer. But before leaving, he asked the couple of extras something. If they had betrayed the group with their gossip, today they'll back down, but next time, shit's going to get real, and they've been warned. Later, they treated the muscle guy's wound and enjoyed a meal made from the sheep's meat. Everyone is happy about it, but a little worried about the risks. The engineer is in favor of peace and would like to avoid a war. Kang reminded the muscle guy that from the beginning, he realized they would need to end the lives of those scum, and since he's not the real leader of this group, as he's often absent, the decision falls to the muscle guy. However, he made his opinion known. He doesn't think they should bow their heads to that scum. For now, they need to celebrate and enjoy the good food they've managed to get, as these moments are rare. Far away, something begins to happen in the air. A dimensional portal is appearing. Things are about to get even more interesting. The next day, our boy returned to the other world to train. He was impressed by the work the beetles had done. The poor little guys had gathered various minerals. And that's not all. There's something special to be revealed now. Seeing the object, Kang was left almost breathless. Animal exploitation has borne fruit. He now has stone daggers, a spearhead, and some pepper bombs. The quality is exceptional. The beetles must have worked very hard on this. He even asked if the beetles were dwarves and the poor things played dumb. But they don't need to panic. For Kang, this changes nothing. It's time to test all these new tools. And the force they're able to generate is simply absurd. Time for the pepper bomb. It explodes very effectively. However, our boy was expecting something a bit more destructive. He went to investigate, and the beetles tried to stop him. It's too late. He inhaled the pepper dust. Soon, Kang was deeply regretting it, feeling his throat burn in the worst way possible. Now he knows this is more than enough to ward off dangerous monsters. After that, he asked the beetles to come live with him too. The forest is dangerous. The weather can get cold, not to mention the problem with food. In Kang's shelter, all of that would be permanently solved. A mutually beneficial situation. Before giving an answer, the creatures needed to talk amongst themselves. By all indications, their leader agreed to the invitation. Joining hands, they celebrated another agreement. It was time for Kang to return to Earth, accompanied by his faithful canine friend. Because it's about time for the goblins to appear. And as expected, these monsters are already roaming the city, and they are very dangerous in combat. To make matters worse, they're building a base to facilitate their malicious operations. The Goblin Home event will start soon, that's for sure. Dingo ended up catching a scent in that area. Our boy finally found a dimensional portal. For him, this is great. For any other player, it would be a huge problem. Crossing through the passage, he realized it's very similar to the game's events in its original format. He just doesn't know what happens if he uses his ability there, if he'll go to the other world or back to Earth. Testing it, he found it leads to the other world. This raises some questions about where that dungeon dimension is located. Maybe it's on Earth after all. Picking up a metal ball, he noticed it wasn't destroyed by the metal plague, which means it's not on Earth. It could be a third random space. Either way, Kang needs to prepare, so he took out some items he had stored. It's time to start exploring that place, and our boy is in a hurry. Since it's the beginning of the game, the dungeon has only one path and no traps. Taking out the goblins here is an easy task for someone who knows what they're doing. Kang keeps moving forward, having a lot of fun. Using his new weapons, he defeats a few more enemies, until he's completely surrounded by enraged monsters. He finishes them all off with his sword, which cuts through monsters like butter. Normal goblins don't even pose a threat to him now. It's time to turn his attention to the area's boss. But Kang was surprised. He saw a creature kneeling. He didn't expect the boss to be alone. It's a bit frustrating. The creature charges fiercely, ready to finish him off immediately. But all it managed was to get sliced in a single blow. What a mediocre boss. Our boy started receiving the rewards for clearing that place. Among them are more durable arrows, which will greatly strengthen his current attack. A great item to have in the apocalypse. Now, he can turn his attention back to his allies and see if they're all still alive. It would also be good to analyze those assholes to find out what they're planning. In fact, given the situation, maybe our boy doesn't need to do anything at all. These assholes in gym clothes have already shown they're very aggressive. So, it's possible that instead of defending against the goblins, they'll want to go on the attack. It's to be expected that they'll want to explore the portal too. In fact, that's exactly what happened. Just half an hour in the dungeon was enough for them to leave disappointed. There must be a veteran around here. The information the extra gave them is wrong. The dungeon has already been cleared. There might be a veteran here without them knowing, but the group's leader didn't like that excuse. This just soured his impression of this useless extra, who is now seen as completely useless. Their objective is still the same. They need to find a goblin nest and destroy it. After that, he'll annihilate our protagonist's group. The extra didn't like that, but the asshole wants to steal the supplies they have. Apparently, the extra is naive. In fact, the asshole leader made a point of telling him that to his old group, he's just a traitor and nothing more. And if they don't get rid of our protagonist soon, he'll become a huge problem. The girl doesn't want to take human lives. She's afraid of it. The other players don't care about that. They just want the 50 execution points. It was at that moment the extras realized they were in very bad company. The one observing all this, hidden in his portal, is our boy. And now he's sure this group of people is even more dangerous than he imagined. So, he needs to put a stop to this before the problem gets any bigger. However, he'll do it indirectly, which is much safer and more fun. Elsewhere, an anonymous person is terrified by the presence of goblins. The creatures use their poisoned darts against him, and in a short time the poor guy understood what had happened. Paralyzed, he watched as his body was sliced up by the creatures. The leader of the assholes spies on the creatures, frightened, because he knows they're dangerous. It's time for them to attack too, but the extra doesn't want to do it. It could be very dangerous for everyone. For talking too much, he ended up in chains. The asshole leader is sick of so many complaints. This extra is never happy with anything. Now he knows why he had problems with his old team. And the extra tries to defend himself, claiming he left that place on his own accord. He wasn't kicked out or anything like that. The discussion is cut short. They've just spotted a goblin chief. Plans have just changed. They need to attack this creature immediately, and they hope the extra will cooperate too, instead of just talking crap and being scared. This is better than attacking the creature's nest with no plan at all. They advance with caution. Just then, the girl whispered something to her boyfriend. She doesn't want to follow these people anymore. That monster is walking in circles. It looks like a trap. Her boyfriend wants to continue, because if they land the final blow, they might get a new skill. It might be the only way for them to stay alive in this group of degenerates. He'll make sure to protect his girlfriend, but he lost sight of the others. They must have started the hunt without him, and that's exactly what happened. The extra, furious, went to complain to them. He said he'd leave the group if they kept this up, so the jerk told him to calm down a bit. The monster was already defeated. Someone had placed a glowing stone on it to use as bait. This is a trap, and they all just fell for it, like sitting ducks. A girl in the group started to get terrified. She was seeing an arm floating in the air. To make things even more interesting, this arm was holding something that looked like an incendiary device. It's our protagonist, who appeared through his portal, dropping the bomb on this group of filthy people. The firework exploded, startling all of them. The leader of the jerks wants to know who this mysterious person is. The extras take advantage of the noise to escape, as the sound has attracted the goblins to their location. Now, the jerks are surrounded by the creatures. It didn't take long for them to be unalived. The jerks were dealt with, but our protagonist's former companions seem to have escaped. At least they seem to have some morality left. As for Kang's allies, they are fighting the goblins fiercely. The situation isn't favorable for them. Things are getting complicated. That's because they're still coordinated and can fight efficiently. The medic can heal from a distance, which has helped a lot in moments like this. But for the muscle-bound guy, there are too many creatures to defeat. The goblins try to use poisoned darts against him, but they miss every shot. Faced with this, they resort to old-fashioned brute force, but the big guy's body is too solid. The real problem is that he's getting tired. Surrounded by the monsters, he started to think this was his end. It's at this moment that the enemies are defeated, and Kang farms an absurd amount of aura. No one will die tonight because the main character has just arrived to have some fun too. His survival survival skill was activated, which makes combat easier. He did this by inflicting a few wounds on himself. That's why he was able to shoot that arrow that finished them all off. His strength is currently at 20 points, which makes him absurdly strong. Kang keeps lying, claiming he learned all this from videos about the game. He also drank a lot of solar apple juice, which helps a lot. From now on, he'll handle the situation. The rest of the crew can just sit back and watch the aura get farmed. Kang resorted to violence, and what he did was a one-sided beatdown. On one side, the crowd gets beaten. On the other, Kang does the beating. Poor goblins, it was pathetic. The streets were decorated with bodies and unparalleled destruction. Finally, a formidable enemy decided to show up, a walking skeleton. But even its appearance is part of our boy's plan. He just has to lead the monster to the goblin nest, so everything explodes at once. But a player appeared, being chased by creatures, and he's asking for help. The survival skill is already at its limit. Kang isn't very interested in saving this extra, not to mention he still has his allies to worry about. The hairdresser didn't think twice. She went to help the anonymous guy, preventing him from being crushed by the well-fed zombie. In no time, they were already hiding, so as not to get in our boy's way. Fortunately, Kang's allies aren't a couple of idiots. These are the kind of people he needs. It makes life much easier. It was time to open the portal once more, as his survival skill had run out. Now the skeleton monster has lost its target. It doesn't know what to do. Thus, the time has come for it to fulfill its mission and explode, wiping out everything around it. After this adventure, the medic went to tend to our boy's wounds. As long as she's there, he doesn't need to worry. She'll help him. With things calmer, it's time to talk to the soldier they rescued. He's a captain, and he's grateful for being helped in such a situation. The muscle-bound guy found the rank strange, since the man is quite young, but according to him, he was promoted legitimately. The apocalypse happened right after that. Kang wants to know which region he operated in, and learned he's from the nuclear power plant's infantry. The place is already completely devastated. His job was to escort personnel and monitor the plant. If that's true, he shouldn't be here, since it's almost 40 kilometers away. That's true, but he came here with a purpose, because smoke started coming out of the nuclear power plant. This is a sign that the core might be melting down. Since he's a soldier, he doesn't know the details, but he knows that if he ever sees smoke there, he must flee immediately. The big guy doesn't know what that means. The medic, being the most knowledgeable one there, explained that when this happens, it's because the core isn't being cooled, and radiation will escape. Surely, the soldier came all this way to spread the catastrophic news. Along the way, not everyone was as friendly to him as our boys' team was. Kang said that besides being a stranger, he brings bad news, so it's natural he wouldn't be well received. Not to mention it makes no sense at all. He even brought a dangerous monster here and messed up our boy's plans. Not to mention, of course, that he could have caused a zombie wave just by being here. A captain like him is just putting people in danger, and that's not right. After being hit with the facts, the poor guy apologized, acknowledging that everything that happened is his responsibility. That wasn't enough. Kang held out a knife to him and asked for proof. Very hesitantly, he took the knife, ready to cut off his own hand as a way to show he was sorry. Before the worst could happen, someone stopped him. Kang saw enough. He doesn't need anything more. Someone willing to sacrifice themselves for others. That's rare in the world they live in now. Everyone on our boys' team is like that, but the others were scared. They really thought Kang was serious about the knife. Kang apologized, but said he needed to be sure. If the radiation is a problem, they need to leave soon and take all the supplies. Before that, they need to level up the weaker members of the team, and he's sure that strengthening the hairdresser will make it easier for everyone. With an engineer's doll, she overheard the conversation and agreed. The others must now begin preparations, so that everyone can travel with the supplies they've gathered. The news about the radiation must also be spread throughout the region. It will be up to the captain to do that part. Even though he's careless, he has good intentions. Now they need to set a route for their journey. The best option is to migrate south and gain levels in the process. There's a warehouse there, and our boy might find his old game companions. The captain really liked their determination. It's decided. They'll travel and make camp at the next city's battalion headquarters. No one has any objections to this plan. With everything decided, it's time for them to get to work. I don't know if you remember the rabbit, that weird guy, but he's still lost. What a useless dude. And now he's hungry after fighting a lot. It's been a while since he bought food at the auction, and he misses our boy. It seems he's being watched, and he felt it, and he kicked the zombie head he was holding in that person's direction. Before it could hit, the head was stopped in midair by a mysterious power. And this man said the rabbit should be more polite to him. This guy's name is Seok, and he works for the president, who isn't president of anything anymore. In fact, he has a proposal to make. His approach is completely friendly. He wants to know if the rabbit knows survivor number 1. That's our boy's alias. He helped the government, and so far, the president remains alive. They have a shelter that can hold up to 100 people, And according to this man, our protagonist is already with them. Even after hearing this, the rabbit rejected the offer. The bureaucrat insists he accept, stating they have plenty of supplies. But being a veteran player, he has already noticed something is wrong, and there isn't much that can be done to convince him otherwise. Now, he needs to go his own way, as he has a friend to meet in the south. At that moment, the bureaucrat pointed out that the rabbit was going in the wrong direction, so he asked him to at least visit the shelter, after which he could guide him to the southern part of the city. And just like that, the rabbit was convinced. The bureaucrat's mission was to bring him in at all costs, so he ended up winning. This led to a flashback of him, wondering what society is. In the past, he had a very clear concept of it, a problem with no solution. In the game world, as the rabbit princess, it was completely different. He had friends who didn't care about his oddities. In fact, there were even those who copied his unconventional aesthetic. The guy's a trendsetter. For the first time in his life, he managed to make real friends. That's when he realized the obvious. Even among his friends, some liked him more than others. On the way to the shelter, he revealed that he isn't that close with survivor number 1, and they hardly ever interacted directly. Wait, maybe this survivor is the 4th player, and not our boy. The bureaucrat said that's how friendships are. Some people stick around for the group, not the individuals. He also took the opportunity to confess a few things. He only tried to recruit the rabbit because he's following orders. The shelter is for those who accept, and it must be secret. So, he disagrees with the people who want to take the rabbit, and the rabbit loved this honesty. After a short walk, they reached their destination. But it's not the shelter, it's where they are going to meet an ally of the bureaucrat. A girl appeared out of nowhere, as if by teleportation, the same power as the hairdresser. She's level 12 and transports people from the government shelter. Now the rabbit finally understood that their location is secret. He just didn't understand why she explained her own trait in such detail. The girl was startled by this question, revealing that she needs physical contact to travel with people, which is why she talked so much. The rabbit agreed to travel with her, revealing that even if he wanted to get hurt, he couldn't. In the blink of an eye, he was taken to a meeting room. The president welcomed the rabbit. Next to him is the one who claims to be survivor number 1, whose trait is related to the shelter. He said the rabbit looks a lot like his character. Obviously, he found this level of familiarity strange since they weren't that close, making it clear that it was only fun when the 4 of them were together. To survivor number 1, that's irrelevant. They're veterans, but this speech disgusted the rabbit because he knows he's facing a damn trickster. Changing his energy, the gray-haired man said those words were too messed up. In response, the rabbit suggested they settle this with a little violence, to which the gray-haired man immediately agreed. But he wants to make a bet first. The president didn't expect something like this to happen now, and he's worried. So, he asked the rabbit to sit down and join the meeting as well. Sitting down, he stated his name and his trait, Infinite Resurrection. He also realized that no one there had a sense of humor for his peculiar jokes. So, it's time to get straight to the point. He wants to know if being recruited is the only reason he was brought there, and indeed, the president confirms it. He thought that by gathering those friends, things could get better, as he wishes to save everyone. Meeting the rabbit in person, he realized it might not be the right time to convince him to help. And in fact, the old man is right about that, but he has a serious proposal to make. Even so, he'll allow the rabbit to leave, asking the teleporter girl to take him outside. Before he leaves, one last message. A government announcement will be made at the auction, and if he wishes to go south, he should read its contents. It's about the nuclear power plant. It seems it's really going to cause problems. Our protagonist saw this too. His group is already on the move, ready to protect themselves from a greater catastrophe. Thanks to the portal, our boy managed to collect what others had left behind. It was then that he realized other catastrophes might have happened around the world. Things were already getting chaotic even before the end of the world, but it's not worth getting anxious about that kind of thing. Kang's priority is to get his friends to a truly safe place, and to keep preparing for future dangers. Looking at the horizon, he watches the zombies. His task now is to protect and react.